Good afternoon, meteorologist Justin Ballard here, wanting to give you an update on the potential for some severe weather. It's not so much a potential as much as a near guarantee here as these storms continue to push off towards the east, and will be eventually getting into our neck of the woods here within the next hour to 2 hours. A severe thunderstorm watch is in effect for the entire area, and in fact it looks like just recently a severe thunderstorm warning was issued for Stevenson County. This is until 2:15 for those winds gusting upwards of 60 miles per hour. So again, that severe thunderstorm warning is in effect for Stevenson County here. Now, I do want to break down the potential for the damaging winds that we've got, because this is not just a normal sort of severe thunderstorm watch. This is what we call a particularly dangerous situation severe thunderstorm watch, meaning that wind gusts could approach 80 to 100 miles per hour as these storms do move in. Of course, that could cause numerous damage. And again, this is in effect until 7 o'clock this evening. Isolated large hail is also possible. Not the biggest concern. I'll show you that here in just a moment. But hail to the size of 1.5 inches in diameter possible in some of the strongest thunderstorms that do move through our area. And on top of that, an isolated tornado or two simply cannot be ruled out. Again, not likely to be numerous. So let's get you first of all with a look at satellite and radar, I should say. That severe thunderstorm warning, as I mentioned, in effect for Stevenson County this afternoon, as those storms have continued to develop and continue to increase in intensity. That's why we have those severe thunderstorm warnings as well, in effect for Joe Daviess County, Carroll, and Whiteside County. Again, this is until 2:15 this afternoon as those storms continue to develop here. Widening out the view, you can see where those storms are at this moment. Just to the west of the Mississippi River, they are quickly moving to the east at anywhere from 50 to 60 miles per hour, and they are literally going to be knocking on the door of some of these areas here in just a moment. And it does look like a tornado warning was actually just issued just to the north of Stevenson County. This would include far southwestern portions of Wisconsin, getting into, looks like Greene County, I do believe. Hang on one second. We're going to zoom in just a little bit closer to that. This does include Darlington, Monroe, New Glarus, just outside of that. Give me just a moment here as we zoom in just a little bit closer to this particular tornado warning. Again, this is in effect for Greene, for sure. Greene, and I believe that is Lafayette County to the south and west of Monroe. There we go. Greene and Lafayette until 2 o'clock this afternoon. Let's hop on here and let me put this particular imagery here, right there. And you can actually see that couplet. Give me just a second, just to the south and west of Darlington. Alexis, would you mind getting Bree and just seeing if we need to do a cut in? Okay. And you can see that couplet right here. This is indicative of where that rotation is. And again, while the threat for tornadoes is not particularly high, we are looking at that potential for that to certainly be a possibility, though the wind is the strongest potential. I'll have more on that here in just a moment. But in the meantime, we are going to hop off real quick and do a quick cut in on live TV, and I'll see you right back here on Facebook Live. Good afternoon. A tornado warning has recently just been issued in far southwest Wisconsin. There's also some severe thunderstorm warnings to talk about. First of all, let's get into the tornado warning again. This is in effect for Greene County in southwest Wisconsin, as well as Lafayette County until 2:15. Zooming in a little bit closer, you can see where that tornado warning at 2 o'clock that tornado warning is in effect for, again, Lafayette and Greene County as this continues to push off towards the east. Within that, there's also a severe thunderstorm warning. Putting on exact track, you can actually see how this system is evolving and pushing towards the east at about 40 miles per hour. This is radar indicated rotation, so it doesn't necessarily mean a confirmed tornado is on the ground, but I want you to take that very seriously regardless. And putting on the velocity data that we do have on this, you can actually see where that rotation is. And it's right here just to the south and west of Darlington, again pushing off towards the east at 40 miles per hour. Getting into Argyle at 141, 202 for Monticello, 211 for Attica. Again, as this continues to push off towards the east, we'll be keeping a very close eye on that as that does continue to move through Greene and Lafayette counties. Now to the south of that, we do have that severe thunderstorm warning, but let me show you the severe weather alert. Tornado warning, again, move now below ground or to the lowest room without windows if you are in Greene and Lafayette County in southwest Wisconsin. Get out of your mobile home and seek shelter immediately. Cover up with blankets and bike helmets if you happen to have those ready. Again, this storm is moving very, very quickly. These storms in general are moving very, very quickly towards the east. The severe thunderstorm warning in Stevenson County, 141 for Pecatonica, 150 for the town of Winnebago as this continues also to push towards the east at between 40 and 50 miles per hour. Primary concern with this particular storm is gusty winds upwards of 60 to 70 miles per hour, as well the potential for some hail as that 1 inch in diameter as well. So for Stevenson County and as well Joe Davies County, you want to make sure you're getting away from windows, getting to the lowest floor of your house. You know, if it helps to treat this similar to a tornado warning, if in terms of severity, certainly do that. Expect damage to windows, siding, roofs, and trees. And again, be ready for power outages as well. The potential for some flooding rain as rainfall rates have been on the order of 2 to 5 inches per hour in some of these storms over eastern Iowa, where this system is actually coming from. So again, these storms are continuing to push off towards the east at about 40 miles per hour. Did want to go over those warnings with you one more time. Again, Greene and Lafayette County in southwestern Wisconsin under that tornado warning until 2 o'clock as that system continues to push off towards the east. Putting on the radar, you can see that system moving towards the east at about 40 miles per hour, as I mentioned. And again, radar velocity really showing that rotation pretty well here, just to the south and west of Darlington. The image getting a little bit murky here, but just to the south and west of that, that's where we're looking at that potential for a tornado. Again, as this continues to push towards Greene County, 141 for Argyle, Monticello by 202, Attica by 211. And again, that severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Stevenson County. One more time. Move now below ground to the lowest room without windows if you are under that tornado warning. Again, Greene and Lafayette counties. Get out of your mobile home and seek shelter immediately. Cover up with those blankets and bike helmets. One more time with the severe thunderstorm warning over Stevenson County. Again, the worst of the weather pretty much on top of those of you that live in Freeport as this storm continues to push off towards the east. These storms will have very little lead time, meaning they'll be pretty much on your doorstep within just a matter of minutes. Pecatonica here by 141, 150 for those of you that live in Winnebago, and it won't be much longer than that before they're actually in Rockford. As a matter of fact, let's put a track on that as this storm does continue to push off towards the east. Again, pretty quickly at anywhere from 40 to close to 50 miles per hour, getting into places like Rockford here by about 210, Cherry Valley by 219, Caledonia in Boone County by about 224. So again, as these storms continue to push off towards the east at 40 to 50 miles per hour, they'll be packing really strong gusty winds, 70 mile per hour wind gusts, in fact, for that severe thunderstorm warning over Stevenson County as well. The potential for quarter-sized hail. And these storms do have a history of producing wind damage and power outages, and this is just the first of likely several very stormy hours here for us in the state line. as those storms do continue to work their way out of eastern Iowa and into northern Illinois. So if you are under that severe thunderstorm watch, or excuse me, severe thunderstorm warning for Stevenson County, make sure you're moving away from all windows and moving towards the lowest floor. Expect damage to windows, siding, roofs, and trees, especially with those really strong gusty winds, and be ready for power outages and flooding rain. Now, we'll be continuing to track these on Facebook Live here on our WREX Facebook page. Make sure to tune in, and we'll be able to break in when as needed.
Well, we break into program to tell you about a severe thunderstorm warning that has now been issued for Winnebago, Ogle, and Lee counties as well. Stevenson County is still in that area. Here's a look. This is going to go on all the way until 3:15 this afternoon. Now, the things you're going to notice is this line of storms is still continuing to track toward the east. Now, as we start to see this get into the area, here's a couple of things you want to take note of. As you're going to be in this warning, you want to make sure that you move now to the lowest floor away from any windows and door. Expect damage to windows, siding, roofs, and trees, and be ready for power outages and flooding rain. Now, this is going to be in effect once again all the way until 3:15 this afternoon. We'll also be giving you more updates on Facebook Live and be keeping you updated all afternoon as this system continues to move into the area. But for now, please join us on Facebook Live and stay safe. Thank you. Well, good afternoon. We're taking a look at some severe thunderstorms that are moving through the area right now, and let's just go ahead and dive right into everything that we're looking at. Here's currently exact track where you can see this line of showers and storms that's currently moving toward the east. Now, a couple of things that you want to take note from this line is that we're starting to see plenty of wind damage reports and even some hail there in Stevenson County, where I've even seen reports on the National Weather Service cats where people have talked about nickel-sized hail already being reported there, even wind gusts up to 77 miles an hour right now being reported just to our west there in Rock Island there at the airport. So it is going to be some very strong storms that we could be seeing moving into the area. So let's take a closer look at satellite and radar when it comes to there in Stevenson County. Now, here is that storm complex that is currently starting to make its way into Winnebago County. We do currently have severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for Stevenson County, Winnebago, Ogle, and Lee County for that area, that line of storms that's currently moving through. So let's take a look at where the heaviest rainfall is happening right now, and we're probably getting some of those reports for even that hail potentially being impacting the area as well. So take a look at this. Just there in Lancaster, Winneshiek, we can see Browns Mill. They're starting to get that very dark area of those very heavy purples. That is very indicative of where we're going to be seeing the heaviest of those showers and even potential hail and gusty winds coming out of this storm. That is there along Illinois 75. You can see there US 20 is being impacted there as well. As you can see, some of those heavier rain, like that heavier rainfall. So visibility is going to be impacted. You're definitely going to make sure that you are already in your safe spot right now as these storms continue to sit over the area there in Stevenson County. Make sure if you have not headed there now, you're going to make sure you want to be in that spot currently. Now, looking at Winnebago County, Pecatonica, you want to make sure you're already heading to your safe spot as well, because that storm is on a beeline towards you as well. So that means that you definitely want to be in your safe spot as soon as possible. Heading into Winnebago fairly soon, and even over toward Rockford into the area. Now, let's put a track on this as these storms continue to move toward the east. So I am going to currently just kind of get this track going to see this line of storms overall that we currently have. As it continues to move right now, we're going to be seeing it mainly in Winnebago around that 2 o'clock time frame, Rockford around 2:11, and Pecatonica by 1:52. So it's going to be there fairly soon, that line of showers and storms into the Winnebago area. Now, this bigger line that we kind of want to pay attention to overall is going to be impacting the entire area. This is just one small storm that is going to be having an impact on Winnebago firsthand. But if we can zoom out just a little bit, I want to take a look at the overall picture of what we're dealing with when it comes to those showers and storms throughout the main line. And now I'm going to put a track on this to see when it's going to be in the area. Now, this is what we're going to be seeing when these storm systems kind of move toward the area a little bit later. So we're going to be seeing this entire line continue to move toward the east, being in Freeport by 2:19, Dixon by 2:24, Rockford, this is showing you around 2:15, that bigger area, and DeKalb around 3:10. So this is what we're going to be tracking. This is the line that has had that very high wind damage, has hail associated with it, lot of lightning strikes with this. I even want to kind of turn on lightning to kind of give you a better picture of how much lightning we're seeing with this storm overall. Look at that. Even that storm sitting there in Stevenson County, all that lightning with that is very dangerous. You do not want to be outside in this storm system. So I want to take another closer look at just the overall picture of what we're dealing with that storm there. It's now headed over Reddit as well in Everett, there in Stevenson County. Dakota, you've seen just the lower end of the system, but look at that dark purple. I kind of want to also do a kind of slice. Now, Justin, do you want to like hop in and like do anything with this as well?
Yeah, can you pop on velocity data on here?
Yes, I definitely can do that real quick. Let's see.
Yeah, as Tommy was mentioning, the calling card for these storms is really going to be about the strong gusty winds, but there is also that potential for some hail. I mean, these cloud tops have been 50 to 60,000 feet tall. That's indicative of a very strong updraft, and a lot of that is getting lofted into the freezing level and beyond. So certainly could be seeing some hail. We have seen several reports of some hail. Thankfully, we're not looking at very much in terms of rotation, maybe some broad rotation here, but by and far, the winds are going to be the big story as this system continues to push off towards the east. As Tommy mentioned, this is just kind of an appetizing round, if you will, before the main line of showers and thunderstorms, which is still located just to the west of, really right along the Mississippi River Valley and to the west. You can see it's bowing out right here. Clinton, Iowa, seeing some very heavy, strong winds, as well Savannah, Illinois, getting into that as that continues to press off towards the east. These storms are really racing anywhere from 50 to 60 miles per hour as they do push off towards the east. Now,
and Justin, I even see that at Davenport, an ASOS station is recording near 75 knots of wind currently. So it's some very powerful winds with this line of storms as they continue to head toward the east.
Absolutely. And really, I mean, if you can widen out the view just a little bit, pop on some of the storm reports from just over the last, say, 3 or 4 hours. This system has been developing pretty much all day across portions of South Dakota, moved out of South Dakota into Iowa, and it's been really plaguing central Iowa all day. I mean, just look at the sheer number of wind reports that have been associated with this. We've seen wind gusts upwards of 85, 95, 100 miles per hour out of this complex as it continues to race off towards the east. Click on just some of the wind damage and wind reports here and just kind of give an idea of what some of the reports have been. So 61 mile per hour wind speed there in Lime City about 1 o'clock. I know closer to the Des Moines area, we saw some of those winds gusting upwards of 70, 80 miles per hour. Clinton Airport at about 15 minutes of 2 o'clock, so just literally just a few minutes ago, 69 mile per hour wind gusts here as these storms rocketed through eastern portions of Iowa. Moline Quad City Airport, 68 mile per hour wind speeds there at 1:28 in the afternoon. And again, this theme is really going to be the main theme with these thunderstorms. They're going to come through quickly, and they are going to drop some very heavy rain, some very strong winds, and you see it here, even the potential for some hail as these storms do continue to push off towards the east.
Let me get this taken care of right now. It is just going to take a moment. We're going to go back to satellite and radar and get an idea of how that is currently looking right now. So the overall picture currently is, if you take sweeping radar and we just take a look at how things are starting to pan out, look at this. Those severe thunderstorm warnings are still in effect for the entire area there in Stevenson, Ogle, and Lee County. You're also seeing there in Winnebago County as well. Boone County will soon probably be in there as that line of storms that you see just to the north continues to slide toward the east. This entire line is going to make its way over here fairly soon. If we want to kind of put a track on that real quick and see when we're going to be seeing the other line that's just behind it that we talked about with all those very severe thunderstorm wind reports that we have seen, also seeing reports of some hail out of that as well. As this continues to move toward the area, this is what we're going to be seeing when it comes to the overall picture. So in Freeport by 2:20, that bigger line that we've already seen kind of moving through the area. Dixon around 2:26. Now Rockford around 2:53, that main line is going to be here, and then Belvedere around 3:07. And so I just want to take a look at some of the comments. I know we've seen some people actually already reporting that they've seen some hail reports there in Stevenson County. So look at this. We already have someone talking about maybe winds getting up to near 50 miles an hour already at their home from that smaller storm that we've seen. And I can already see some other reports of some people already talking about half-an-inch size hail at their home as well with this entire line of storms that move through. So let's take a closer look at that storm system. Let's zoom in just a little bit more and get a better idea of how this system is actually starting to pan out. So I'm going to turn off some of this other data so it doesn't get us all distracted, because we want to make sure we talk about this entire line as it continues to move through the area. So here is that system that is currently starting to make its way into Winnebago County right now. So it is on a beeline toward Pecatonica at the moment. You can already see plenty of heavy rainfall is coming down with this storm as it continues to track toward the east, and some very high winds. Now, we have not seen any storm reports through the National Weather Service just yet from this system, but we are expected to get some, as we've seen people already kind of reporting that half-inch size hail coming down. They're just outside of Freeport at the moment. So this entire line is going to be fairly active, and I know it is going to be a fairly busy afternoon and evening for you as we continue to see this area kind of progress toward the Rockford region. Now, I also want to turn right back on lightning, just to let you know this is just as damaging as those winds can be, and it can be as damaging as hail as well. Make sure that you are not outside at this time. Make sure you have already moved to the lowest level of your home. Make sure you're away from any windows and doors, because that wind is going to be powerful. You're going to make sure that you are not outside at this time. If you are outside, if you know anyone that's currently driving, make sure they are getting somewhere safe, because we have a lot of heavy rainfall and a lot of lightning with this system. This is mainly along US 20 right now. As you can see, we're going to see areas like Pecatonica, Reddit there in Stevenson County, getting out of Freeport, so they're heading more toward the lighter rainfall, but that main line is not too far away from anyone. Now, Justin.
Tommy, would you mind popping that lightning back on? I want to show something here. There we go. So, well, it was just there just a moment ago, but far northeast, Ogle County actually had a lone little lightning strike right there on Interstate 39. It looks like it just went away just within the last 15 minutes or so, but that one lone lightning strike far removed from any of the actual precipitation. So these storms are moving incredibly fast, and they have had a history of producing lightning well outside of the precipitation area. So keep that in mind with these storms. You might not be able to really even hear the thunder yet, but you definitely want to be heading indoors. And another kind of side note here, the winds are going to be coming out of the west with this system, and especially strong out of the west. So if you're on Interstate 39, which is a north to south interstate, you'll want to make sure you're taking it especially easy on that road, especially if you're a high-profile vehicle like semis, because we've had multiple reports from Iowa where semis have gotten turned over as this main line of thunderstorms pushes through. Would you mind putting on the hail tracks on there, Tommy? Taking off radar and just putting on the hail?
We're looking at the hail track there in Freeport right now. Look at this. Currently, right over that storm that we're starting to see. Look at that hail track. We actually have a viewer photo that we actually wanted to pull up to show nearly 2-inch size hail that we got from a viewer there in Stevenson County. If you want to go ahead and take a look at that, and you can already see how well that lines up. Look at that hail track, Justin. Like, look at this nearly 2-inch hailstone that came out of this storm that we saw move through Stevenson County earlier into the day. Just look at that.
And you know, it's one of these setups where the initial storms that fire, these storms actually fired along a cold front. Those initial storms really have the highest potential for seeing those hailstones, and you see them right there, 2 inches in diameter. That is sizable hail. I believe golf ball is 1.5 inches in diameter, so we're talking larger than golf ball size hail falling out of at least that one storm in Stevenson County.
And if we take a look at look at that hail track right there, you can already see where exactly that is. I even want to put some information on that to see just how this system is actually looking at. Look at that. Hail sizes based on radar is showing near 1.5 inches of hail coming from this system as it continues to work its way into Winnebago County fairly soon. So it lines up perfectly with that picture that we got, Justin. It is something to definitely pay attention to, because that is definitely going to be possible with this storm as it continues to track toward the east.
Even though this is not a primary threat, this was never really a primary threat. It's always been about the winds. However, you really absolutely cannot discount that hail threat. Let's put a track. Can we put a track on the hail track here and kind of just
yes, we definitely can do that.
And again, these storms are moving very, very quickly, so you're going to have very little in terms of lead time between when the warning is issued and when the storms are knocking on your door. So again, this system is located pretty much right on top of RIDOT. Now, I think this data is just a little bit lagging. I think it's about a 5-minute delay or so, but you get the point here. Woodruff Corners by about 2:04, Pecatonica 2:10, Winnebago by 2:19, and Wimpletown by about 2:22. Now, when you see these particular times, I want you to get in your safe place before those exact times, because again, these storms are moving incredibly fast, moving at between 50 and 60 miles per hour for the most part. Now, the individual cells are moving just slightly slower, but again, as this continues to push off towards the east, and you see that hail core right here on the kind of border between RIDOT and Durand near Stevenson and Winnebago County. So the hail track's slightly delayed here where that main kind of core of hail is. So just to the north and west of Pecatonica, this is where the hail is likely to be largest there. Of course, send in those pictures if you're able to do so from a safe place using our app, or whether at WREX.com, or post them in the comments below this video. Tommy, would you mind putting on velocity data? I was just wanting to get an idea of what those winds look like here within this storm. Thankfully, I know we keep checking this. Normally we show this a lot with tornadic sort of situations. Luckily, we're not dealing with that necessarily. We do have a small potential for it, but really it is about this wind field here across the state line as these storms continue to move in. And again, winds could be as high as 60 miles per hour with this particular system, which is kind of the first round, if you will, in Stevenson County. If you live in Freeport, you might have gotten a little tiny break here between that first round and between the round that's coming in behind it. Now that is going to be the main line of storms that is coming through the state line. And again, this is moving, all of this storm activity is moving at about 50 to 60 miles per hour, especially that main line that you see just to the west, getting into places like Lanark, Wissax, as well. Stockton here getting in on some very heavy rainfall. And we're putting a track on the system that's kind of straddling the Winnebago and Stevenson County area, Wimpletown by about 2:14. Again, we're putting a track on the kind of main, the darkest colors, if you will, or the most severe part of this system. Rockford by about 2:25, Rock Cut State Park by 2:31. Certainly not a good day to be out in the park areas here across Winnebago, Boone, really any of the counties in our viewing area as these storms continue to kind of merge and move towards the east. Now, widening out the view, you can see that we've got a lot more to get through before all of this can be said and done, Tommy.
Yes, there's going to be plenty of showers and thunderstorms on the way, not from just that one small system that we're seeing there in Stevenson and Winnebago County right now, but also there's going to be this bigger line. And I think I kind of want to put a track on that one just a little bit as well. Another one just to kind of give a better idea of what we're going to be dealing with when it comes to this system as it continues to move toward the east. So looking near Rockford, that bigger line is going to be here still kind of the same right now at 252, DeKalb around 310, Oregon around 234, and we're seeing Freeport around 218, so that's knocking right at the back door. In Stevenson County, it's going to be here fairly soon, showing Sterling around 210. So this system is going to continue to make its way toward the east and provide us with plenty of numerous different things. So I kind of want to go through this kind of warning slide just to make sure that people may know what exactly that we need to be doing at this moment with all these severe thunderstorm warnings in place. So move now to the lowest floor away from any windows and door. There will be damage to windows, siding, roofs, and trees from this storm system as it continues to move toward its easterly track and stay here for a little while. And be ready for power outages and flooding rain. That's going to be possible with any of those thunderstorms. Even if you don't get that wind or if you get that hail, it is going to be still possible to have some power outages and flooding rain from some of these storms as well. So let's go back to the overall picture of what we're dealing with satellite and radar right now. Here's that picture once again. Plenty of storm systems in the area.
Would you pop on that velocity data and zoom in a little bit closer, like Carroll, Whiteside County, where the storms seem to be bowing out a little bit more, and just pop on some inquiries, if you will, just to show where these winds are really the strongest. This particular part of the line is bowing out, which has me believing that we've got some straight line winds, of course, to deal with. And again, that is the biggest threat out of all of these storms. You see the velocity here about 61 miles per hour. However, I have seen much higher reports over portions of eastern and central Iowa of over 100 mile per hour wind gusts. So hopefully this is a sign of some minor weakening, but still we're kind of splitting hairs here between 60, 70 mile per hour, 80 mile per hour winds. Strong winds regardless, enough to certainly knock down some trees, power lines. We've seen plenty of those storm reports out of eastern and central Iowa. Now we have kept a little bit of the cloud cover around, so maybe that could help kind of stave off some of the severity of the thunderstorms, but overall we've got a cold front moving in, and that acts as lift. So if we've, normally on a kind of a sunny day, we would be talking about the increased potential for severe weather. On a day like today, you don't necessarily need the sunshine to tap into that instability. You've got the cold front, and that basically works in the same way. Again, all of this pushing off towards the east at between 50 and 60 miles per hour. So they've been issuing, I say they, meaning the National Weather Service offices in both Davenport and Chicago, have been issuing these severe thunderstorm warnings well ahead of any of the precipitation actually falling into the state line. And you see popping on those severe thunderstorm warnings just how far east they extend, extending from the Mississippi River Valley all the way through to DeKalb County and to Boone County, and the rain has not even gotten there yet. So these storms are moving very, very fast because they're in such a moisture-rich environment, and because the winds behind these storms are really just racing in the mid and upper levels, and that is what drives these kind of systems, Tommy.
Like that, yes, and we can already see that we just now added Boone County onto the severe thunderstorm warning. So we're definitely going to be doing a cut-in probably on that specific area as well, because they were not mentioned in the earlier area. We knew they were going to be popping on fairly soon, but they now just got onto there. So look at this. We're going to be dealing with that all the way until, let's get some information on that specific severe thunderstorm warning. This one is going to be in effect as soon as it starts to pop up. Computer systems being a little slow right now, getting some of those inquiries going, but still, you can already see this line of showers and storms continue to move toward the east, and that one particular system that we have right now. Here we go. Severe thunderstorm warning all the way until 3:30 p.m. for Boone County. That includes DeKalb County and LaSalle County as well. So all those areas that were not previously mentioned have now been added to that severe thunderstorm warning that we're going to continue to have. Now, the things that they're highlighting in this is wind gusts that have already been measured up to 80 miles an hour from this line that has moved through the Quad Cities. We can already see that is going to be moving toward its area over here. We've already seen hail up to 1/4 size inch in diameter, and we already saw that 2-inch hailstone that was produced from that very small system there into Stevenson County and is now moving into Winnebago County. So I want to take a closer look at that entire line as it continues to make its easterly track. So here's a look at that closer system that's continuing to move its way into the Winnebago County area. It is now getting fairly close to Pecatonica. Right now, Pecatonica is not on the heaviest side of things. They're mainly on the darker red. Still plenty of activity can come down from that storm. Still can see those heavy wind, those very high winds. We can still see some hail potential from this, as we already saw that in Stevenson County, and also just to the east of German Valley, they're starting to see another pocket of that kind of heavier system kind of continue its easterly track as well. So no one is out of the clear there in Winnebago County. That will soon be in Rockford not too long from now. I'd still want to kind of put a track on that just to kind of see the entire area of see when it's going to get into the entire Rockford area. So get the system kind of low just a little bit more. Notice it's going to be in Pecatonica fairly soon. It's already starting to get there. Wimpletown seeing around 223, Rockford still around 230. We're going to be seeing the system get into the area, and Cherry Valley around 242. That's where we're going to be seeing it move into that area just a little bit as well. And we can even, I want to see if I can do a slice of this storm to kind of see how things are actually starting to pan out. And I don't know if you want to hop in on this part, Justin, and kind of give a better view. So when it comes to the overall picture of things right now, these storms are having shooting tops around all the way 50,000 feet into the atmosphere, Justin. A fairly potent storm.
These storms have had a history of having those extremely high tops, and you can actually see where that hail core is within this system just to the north and west of Pecatonica, as we see that kind of magenta shading there at anywhere from 10 to 20, 30,000 feet. Freezing levels are pretty low, but that is what's helping build some of these really large hailstones that we're seeing in some spots of the state line. We're starting to hear the rain and the thunder here at the station on the west side of Rockford as that system continues to push off towards the east. Tommy.
Yes, Justin. So I want to get a better look back to what we're dealing with there on sweeping radar. Kind of go back to what we want to see when it comes to the overall picture of things. And I'm just going to kind of pop on and kind of tell you exactly what we're dealing with right now. You want to make sure that if you have not already moved to the lowest window or level of your floor, that you are currently getting there right. The lowest level of your home. If you have not gotten there yet, definitely want to be there already, because this system is still here. It's still going to provide us with plenty of opportunities for severe weather. So this is that severe storm warning one more time. Move now to the lowest floor, away from windows and door. Expect damage to windows, siding, roofs, and trees. Be ready for power outages and flooding rainfall from this system to continue through its duration as it's here into the state line. And so we can already start to hear the rain here over the station. And if I would just take a closer look at where we are currently relative to everything, just take a look at that. We're starting to be on the lighter end of this when it comes to the rainfall. It's slowly making its way toward us right now, but just take a look there into the Pecatonica area there over Rock Run. Over North Farewell Bridge Road is where we're starting to see the biggest impacts right now from this system. East Cedarville Road, they're being the ones being the most impacted when it comes to that kind of darker purple area with those high tops, where you can see some of that hail and some of those damaging winds in the area. That's also including North Rock City Road there in Stevenson County, just south of Rock Run. And if we just take a look at the main line that's behind all of this, look at how close it is to Ogle and Lee counties right now, Justin. It is right now starting to head into Wysocks right there. You can already see it has moved through Mount Pleasant. It has moved through Mount Carroll. It is now going to be getting very close to that border for Ogle and Lee County. Going to be in Polo and Dixon fairly soon. So definitely want to already be in your safe spot if you're not already there right now.
Would you mind popping on hail there for that cell just over, just to the north of Mount Pleasant?
Yes, I can. I'm going to pause it right here.
Yeah, if you would. So it looked like in the couple of frames just before this last one, some dark purples there. Again, on the order of 1.5 to 2 inch in diameter hail. This is not expected to be widespread, but isolated hail reports of 2 inches is still a pretty big deal as these storms do continue to push off towards the east. And again, the wind is going to be the primary concern with this, but that hail core will be sliding towards the east through Whiteside County, and eventually, if it's able to hold its hold its own, if you will, it will be making its way into places like Lee County as well as southern Ogle County, as Tommy puts a track on this. Thank you there. Thank you, Tommy. Here getting into Jordan by about 228, Prairieville by about 235, and Palmyra by 237. And again, the winds are also a big concern out of this as well. If you pop on the velocity data, I can talk about that for just a moment. As this all continues to push off towards the east, I mean, these storms are really hauling pretty much due east at anywhere from 40, 50, in some spots even close to 60 miles per hour. And you can see that the winds are not rotating, and that is some good news. We normally use this tool to talk about rotation during times of tornadic weather, but let's pop on some inquiries here over far western portions of Carroll County again, because this is where you're looking at those winds of 50, 60, 70 miles per hour, not getting up to the 80 to 100 miles per hour, which is certainly some good news there as this continues to push off towards the east. As we continue to kind of look at this, as this continues to slide off towards the east, we're looking at heavy rain as well, the strong gusty winds being the primary concern with this. Tommy.
So I am going to continue to kind of take it from here. We're going to be taking a look at something that's going on outside when it comes to this entire system. But right now, we're still talking about these winds. Look at that. Velocities around 65 to 64 miles an hour still being possible with this storm system as it continues to track toward the east. Right now, it is still not into Ogle and Lee County, but it is slowly making its way into Ogle and Lee County currently. So I want to take a look at the overall system. What we can hear in Winnebago County as we're starting to get that system is that heavy rainfall that's coming down right now. So we are no stranger to any heavy rainfall, but this system overall is going to be producing more than just that. We're going to be seeing plenty of heavy rainfall. We're going to be seeing plenty of high winds with this, as we've seen reports now. If I take a look at some of the National Weather Service chats right now and how things have been panning out, we can already see that there's a severe thunderstorm warning that has been still issued over the area. They've kind of extended that severe thunderstorm warning until around 2:45 there for Stevenson County. As we continue to see that entire line of showers and storms, you can already see the northern portion of this system has actually started to move into Stevenson County right now. Right now, they are still kind of dealing with the remnants from what they dealt with earlier with those showers and storms that they had, but still something to pay attention to. And so if we take a look at the National Weather Service chat, not really getting many reports right now. We can see hail in Winnebago County. They're talking about some potentially there in Pecatonica, where we see hail up to golf ball sized possible. So with that system, let's take a look closer at that system that they're actually referring to. Here is that system that they're referring to right there, and I'm going to put it on the hail track to kind of see where that is. So when it comes to, look at that, right there is what they're talking about. I'm going to put it on right now. This is a little bit laggy when it comes to the rest of the satellite and radar, but just look at that. Just to the south of Pecatonica, you can see which exactly system they're talking about for that potential of golf ball size hail. So something to definitely take note of. And I'm actually going to inquire on just what that looked like right now. So if we look at this, that's actually talking about radar indicated, radar showing it what it could be is nearly 1.7 inches when it comes to the size of that hail from this storm in that very dark purple shaded area. So that's something that we definitely want to pay attention to, something that we want to look at, and something that is going to be possible with this storm as it continues tracking toward the east. I'm going to turn on this entire line one more time to give us that overall picture of how things are going to be looking. Look at that. This line still has not made it close to the state line here into Ogle and Lee County. It is there in Joe Davies and Whiteside counties, and is also in Carroll County as well. This system there in Freeport, the one that I want to take a closer look, you can already see another portion of this area is starting to pop over there into Illinois 73. You're starting to get some of those heavier pockets if you're around this area. That's West Lake Road that is extending down to West Lena Road. You can already see that very dark purple area showing you where there could be another opportunity for some hail, some opportunity for some high winds. And I'm going to turn on some of that velocity data over this storm that's there over Pecatonica to kind of get a better picture of how the winds are looking there as well. So let me turn that on. So you can see not really showing a lot when it comes to the overall wind, showing velocity data right now of only around 20 miles per hour, but there is still potential for some very high winds, especially with these straight line winds that are just along this bigger system that's starting to continue to move toward the east as we start to see it more toward Lee and Ogle counties right now. So you can already start to see some rain from the system popping over there in Forreston. So we are still all under that severe thunderstorm watch, and under that severe thunderstorm warning for the entire area. So I want to pop on those severe thunderstorm warnings right now. So here's the overall picture of how things are starting to look. So here is that severe thunderstorm warning with the cutouts where we're starting to see it there in Stevenson County, Winnebago County, Boone County, Ogle County, and Lee County as well, even heading over into DeKalb County because of this line of showers and storms that is continuing to move toward the east, providing us with some very, very strong systems. So the big thing to take note, right now is not the time to be getting to your safe spot, not be waiting for that entire line to get here. You want to make sure that you are there right now. Do not wait until these systems are knocking at your back door and already at your front door. You want to be in your safe spot right now. That is the lowest level away from any windows and door. If you don't have any spots there that you can get to the lowest level, you make sure you get into a bathroom or somewhere that is going to be away from those outside windows. There will be damage to windows, siding, roofs, and trees, and be ready for power outages and flooding rain for this system. And I want to take a closer look as we can see rain starting to move over the station right now, just how heavy that rain system is currently. We're not even in the worst of it currently. We're actually starting to see more of that over the entire Auburn Street area there in Winnebago. There over Pecatonica, they're getting even worse when it comes to the rainfall. We start to see more of those heavier dark reds, some of those darker purples as well. They're still in Stevenson County as it continues to make its easterly track here at 2:20 this afternoon. A very, very, very potent system, even from this smaller line that we're seeing moving through earlier before the entire main line of showers and storms continues to move through the area. So let's put a track on this line of storms that is currently starting to get into the area. So I want to pull into the bigger line and show when it's going to be getting there into our lower counties there in Ogle and Lee County, and also there into Winnebago and Boone County as well. So once again, it's showing Dixon. You're not going to get this until around another 20 minutes from now, around 2:41 based on this track. Rochelle, you're going to be seeing this around 3 o'clock, around 3:07. Rockford, 3:08 is when that main line of showers and storms that we see going to be getting to the area, and then there in Sterling around 2:27 is where we're going to be seeing this entire line of systems make their way into the area. So that's something to definitely be paying attention to. Make sure you are not waiting for these times. Make sure you're already in your safe spot, because they're going to be here and they're going to be causing some damage when it comes to those very gusty winds of up to 80 miles an hour, and even some hail, as we can already see. I can even see right now at the National Weather Service there in Chicago, they've been talking about superstars like the supercell hail with Winnebago County continuing to damage hail Rockford and Pecatonica near Winnebago of nearly 2 inches in diameter, along with some very enhanced winds with that system as it continues its easterly track. So I want to get a track on that system exclusively right now, just so we can see how things are starting to go into the entire area. So let's get a better look at this entire system right here as it continues its easterly track. So it's going to be in Rockford very, very soon, so do not worry about that. It's going to be here fairly soon. Wimpletown around 2:37, and here's a look at the outside camera that we have placed out here at our station. Take a look at that. Look at how high those winds are blowing. That rain is fairly heavy, fairly potent. Being on the roadways right now is not a safe idea. Don't you agree, Justin? It's going to be something that we're going to be fairly paying attention to with all these systems. You can even see that strike of lightning. That lightning is also going to be something that is going to be here, and that's going to be very impactful as well. We actually have not looked at this. So it's going to be in Rockford around 2:48, around Cherry Valley around 2:57. Just take a look at that live look of how things are popping out. You can already see, based on lightning data, that plenty of lightning with this system. Now, if we even take a look at there, here's a part of Rockford where we can see that storm system as it continues to move toward the area. Look at how dark those clouds are. Look at how much rainfall. You can already see, even in the distance, of how things are starting to pick up right now. Very, very big system, very, very dangerous system as it continues to move toward the area. We want to make sure that you are not outside of this. If you want to get any pictures, submit them to WREX.com or through that weather app, but make sure you do it after we see all of this line of showers and storms kind of pass through the area. Just take another look at outside the station and how things are starting to pan out there. Look at how high those winds are. Just
top of the winds and the rain that's coming down at the station right now, I keep hearing some pelts on the roof, so certainly likely seeing some hail coming out of this. I went to take a peep at the window and I couldn't see any, but of course there is the potential for some of that hail as these storms do move in. The big concern here, as you can see from our live cam, is going to be potential for those very strong gusty winds. Not so much a potential as much as a guarantee that, normally we're not able to guarantee certain things, but this is certainly going to be one of those instances where we can say strong winds are for sure going to happen as these storms continue to push off towards the east. Look at all of the lightning. This is just 15 minutes worth of lightning data. You can see very prolific lightning here across parts of Winnebago into Stevenson County. A bit of a lull here in kind of the eastern section of Stevenson County, but it's not too far removed from another round of very heavy rain and thunderstorm activity as all of this line continues to push off towards the east at about 40 to 50 miles per hour. Now, I also want to draw your attention to the kind of the main action here of this particular event, and it's these winds here across parts of Carroll and Whiteside County. Notice where these storms are kind of bowing out. This is indicative of some very strong gusty winds, and all of this, it's pushing towards the east. So places like Ogle County, places like Lee County, you've not seen anything just yet, but it's on your doorstep. And as quickly as these storms are moving, they are going to be on your doorstep here very, very shortly. Putting a track on this, thank you, Tommy. 233 in Sterling, 246 in Dixon, 256 in Oregon, getting into the Rockford area by about 3:15. Now, I know you're looking at these times and going, okay, so let me get into my safe shelter in a few minutes. Go ahead and do that now. Everyone is under a severe thunderstorm warning at this point. If you're listening to me and you live in northern Illinois, you're under a severe thunderstorm warning. Go ahead and get into your shelter now while you still can.
Definitely something that we want to be doing. And I'm just going through some of the National Weather Service discussions right now. They still have that one for Stevenson County in effect all the way into around 2:45. They knocked down the winds just a little bit, but not by much. Winds still possible of up to nearly 70 miles an hour with even nearly 1-inch size hail based on this warning that we have in place. The one for Boone County still in effect until around 3:30. Possible tornadoes are possible with this system, something that we're keeping an eye on with that rotation that we're seeing in some of these storms with those high winds in areas like that. But the big thing that we're mainly paying attention to are going to be that 80-mile-an-hour wind threat that they have right now and the hail up to 1-inch size in diameter. And take a look at that live look of those showers and storms out there. This is heading somewhere in Rockford where you can see that system slowly moving into the area. So northwest Rockford is where this is currently looking, where you can see just how potent these showers and storms look even from a distance. Look how much rainfall has already started to fall from these showers and storms that have been in the area. And I just know I definitely don't want to be outside at a time like this. Definitely be in your safe spot right now.
Yeah, and just from looking at that live image, there is hail falling out of that. Now, it's impossible for me to look at that and tell how large it is, but radar indications of an inch to inch and a half in diameter with this particular storm system as it continues to push through Winnebago County.
Yes, so something to pay attention to. I actually kind of want to put it on that hail track right now. You can already see exactly where we're looking at based on that hail track, and you can even see there in Winnebago County, there outside the station. I think we can even see some small pellets of hail kind of falling out of there as well. We start to see some of those winds kind of die down just a little bit currently. So here's a current look at the hail swath that we can see from this. Right over Winnebago there, you can see just to the north and getting into Rockford fairly soon, how things are starting to pan out. So it is going to be fairly busy. Look at that Wimpletown. It's going to be that hail swath is getting into your area. So very thick hail strikes. And we're going to be doing an on-air cut-in. And so we're going to have radar still going for you so you can look at that. But we're also going to be doing a cut-in fairly soon. So we'll be right back with this coverage.
got some severe thunderstorms moving through parts of the state line this afternoon. First of all, we've got a tornado warning in effect for parts of Greene and Rock County. We've also got plenty of severe thunderstorm warnings to go around. So first of all, let's get into that tornado warning in Greene and Rock County as this system continues to push off towards the east. Again, radar detected rotation within this system as it does continue to push off towards the east. You can see the radar here quite active over Winnebago as well Stevenson, getting into western portions of the state of Illinois as all of this continues to push off towards the east. We're zooming in just a little bit here to show you where that severe thunderstorm warning and tornado warnings are located, just outside of Monroe here as this system again continues to push off towards the east at about 40 to 50 miles per hour. Places like Beloit, places like Janesville, you're included in this, and that severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Stevenson and Winnebago County. Again, all of this line is pushing off towards the east at about 50 miles per hour. So it is moving very, very fast, moving into Rockton here by 238, Rockford by about 245, 252 or so for Cherry Valley, Belvedere by 258, and Harvard for 307. Now, I don't want you to wait until those exact times to seek shelter. I want you to go ahead and be in your safe space and go ahead and take shelter before the storms roll their way through your neighborhood, because these storms are moving very, very fast. As I mentioned, about 50 to 60 miles per hour. Widening out the view, we've got a lot more shower and thunderstorm activity where that is kind of coming from. That line of storms moving through western Illinois will be in our area very, very shortly, within the next hour to hour and a half, and we'll actually be clearing our area likely within that time. So putting a track on the system as a whole, moving through places like Freeport by about 234, Oregon 253, 307 here in Rockford, DeKalb 330, Crystal Lake 354. Again, as that continues to push towards the east at anywhere from 40 to 50 miles per hour. You can actually see a live look here at northwest Rockford here. Very, very heavy rain and heavy wind as well with wind gusts estimated of between 60 to 70 miles per hour possible here as these storms do continue to push towards the east. And then a live look just outside of our studios, you can see the heavy rain that is falling. The winds look to have abated just a bit, at least where we are here at the station, but those winds are going to continue to pile up here as this system continues to push towards the east. I do want to pop on a look from our state and Main Street cam. The clouds looking very, very ominous here over downtown Rockford. The rain will be knocking on your doorstep here. It looks like the roads are actually already wet here as this system continues to push off towards the east. Severe thunderstorm warning. You want to make sure you're moving towards the lowest point in your house, away from all windows, and expect damage to windows, siding, roofs, as well trees, especially with those winds 80 to 85 miles per hour possible. And you want to be ready for power outages and the potential for some flooding rain again as these storms blast through northern Illinois. We'll continue to track these storms as they continue to push towards the east, and you can see that severe thunderstorm warning, quite a number of severe thunderstorm warnings here across the state line, and this main line of thunderstorm activity just to the west of Rockford, stretching those warnings out all the way into McHenry County. We're going to zoom in just a little bit more here and show you where the heaviest of the weather is across Winnebago and Stevenson County. It does look like western portions of Stevenson County is gradually getting pared away from that severe thunderstorm warning, which is certainly some good news here as these storms do press towards the east of our area. Again, severe thunderstorm warnings quite numerous here across the state line as we do pop on that radar just a bit. You can see the heaviest of the weather just to the west north of Rockford, those shades of kind of magenta color. That is where some hail is likely as well. Some gusty winds. Hail could be on the order of 1.5 inches to 2 inches in diameter. We have gotten several storm reports from viewers in Freeport showing where the hail has been upwards of 2 inches in diameter. And again, this is near Wimpletown, Cemetery Road, near Harrison Road as well. All of this pushing towards the east, and you kind of see that side view here of the northwestern portion of Rockford, seeing that heavy rain and wind as these storms do continue to push off towards the east at about 50 miles per hour, certainly moving very fast. That's why we want to make sure you're aware of those severe thunderstorm warnings well before the first drop of rain falls in your neighborhood, because these storms are very potent, very fast moving. Again, all of this is pushing off towards the east. The main hail core, which is likely what we're seeing here over western portions of Winnebago County, likely to bypass downtown Rockford. However, if you live north of Rockford, between northern portions of Rockford, Loves Park, McChesney Park, you're going to be seeing this cell kind of move overhead here within the next 15-20 minutes as you can see the pellets of hail there, anywhere from an inch to inch and a half in diameter, estimated by Doppler radar. It's hard to tell by looking at that picture just how large the hail is, but certainly pretty sizable. And you can see where the worst of the hail is just to the west here. We're looking at areas of western Winnebago County right along Cemetery Road, it looks like, as this cell continues to press off towards the east. And again, this is not the only storm that we're tracking. This is actually kind of the appetizer, if you will, before the main event. The main line still sitting to the west of our area, and that will be packing with winds with it, gusting upwards of 80 miles per hour, if not just a little bit higher. Now, these storms, when they were in western Iowa and eastern Iowa, have been a long history of producing 80 to 90 mile per hour wind gusts. But you see they're starting to get into portions of Ogle County, Lee County here. The worst of the weather really just to the west here from Oregon down through Dixon into Harmon. Zooming in just a little bit closer, you can see where some of the worst of the weather is. From Mount Morris, just to the south and west of that, we're talking Leaf River, Adeline, along near Maryland as well. Foreston seeing some very heavy rain. Pine Creek likely seeing some hail out of this. And again, with the potential for strong gusty winds, you are certainly going to be expecting some at least tree damage, some branches down, something of that sort. As we take you down Highway 2, you can see Dixon as well getting some very, very heavy rainfall, frequent lightning. This is another concern with these thunderstorms. Obviously, any thunderstorm has lightning in it, but we're talking excessive amounts of lightning within these thunderstorms. Just to the south and west of South Dixon, that's where we're seeing some of the heaviest weather now. And a new radar update showing where some of the heaviest weather is just to the south and east of Dixon now, as this continues to push off towards the east at 40 to 50 miles per hour. So these storms are very quick movers. They're going to be on top of your house before you know it, and they're going to be gone pretty quickly, which is certainly some good news here. I look with our state and Main Street cam, look at those dark clouds, very, very ominous as all of that continues to push towards the eastern portion of the state line viewing area. Again, as these storms continue to roll towards the east at 50 to 60 miles per hour. And you can see very, very heavy rain moving through downtown Rockford. On top of that, if you're driving, you're likely seeing some of that very strong gusty winds as well, even the potential for some of that hail on the order of an inch to inch and a half in diameter. Now, we've got you here zoomed in really close here to downtown Rockford, and you can see the heaviest rain just to the west of downtown Rockford proper. You're still seeing that heavy rain, though, if you're traveling down State Street towards, say, the Highway 20 interchange. If you're traveling down Highway 20 for that matter, you're seeing that very heavy rain coming down as we speak. On top of that, those strong gusty winds are going to be prevalent as this system continues to push off towards the east. We've been advertising this threat all day long, with that threat for strong to severe thunderstorms, including that high wind threat. And as we continue to kind of push towards the north, you can see where that heaviest rain is till just outside of Rockford here, McChesney Park, places like Loves Park as well. I mean, just take a look. This actually is a live shot out of northwest Rockford. We're seeing that very, very heavy rain coming down, as well strong gusty winds, those raindrops coming down in sheets. And we have seen some hail out of this as well. Just over the last couple of minutes, we've seen some smaller size hail, it looks like. And again, can't tell the exact size of it, but we can expect hail on the order of an inch to inch and a half in diameter with these thunderstorms as they do roll through. But again, the winds are going to be the primary concern with this, so you want to make sure you're taking it easy. Tommy, you've got some more information for me?
Yes, so I'm actually been taking a look at National Weather Service chat and seeing how things are actually panning out overall when it comes to that picture as well. And they've already talked about reports there in Chicago where we can already see, let's see. Right now, they've been talking about the hail that we've already started to talk about as well, that potential for 80-mile-an-hour wind gust, and we can even see just going a little bit further to our west, just how things have been panning out there and just how much heavy rainfall has been coming down out there, because the only thing that we have not been dealing with today is not only the high winds, but we've also been dealing with that fairly heavy rainfall. Take a look at this. Those darker magenta colors kind of showing you right there over North Meridian Road. This visibility is going to be down. You can already see just right outside the station just how powerful the rainfall is, just how potent it is out there. Mixed with the winds and mixed with the lightning strikes, it is not a pleasant time to be outside. So definitely get somewhere safe. Get into a building where you can get somewhere so you don't have to be outside for long, or pull over and just take your time and wait for the storm to kind of get its way out of here. Winds are going to be fairly powerful with this storm, so visibility is going to be low. Look at this along US 20, just how powerful those winds are right now. Even taking it back into downtown Rockford, look, you can already see those very dark reds, those very potent reds. And something that I want to pick on is just how we're doing there in downtown Rockford. Take a look at that. You can already see rain getting on the camera right there. Just how powerful those gusty winds are. Those dark clouds there into the background. Like, look at that. Just into the north sky. You can see just how dark those clouds are. It's just how much rainfall we're starting to see with this shower and storm. And I even want to turn on hail tracks right now to see if we're seeing any kind of hail getting into the area. Look at this. Very small signatures for hail with this, but that's what we actually saw when we came to one of those cameras that we saw into the area, where you can even see those very small hail chunks from hail track right now. Very powerful system moving through the area. And I even want to go back to kind of sweeping radar and giving you the overall picture of what we're starting to see. So here's a look at how things are starting to pan out right now as that system gets into the area and how we're starting to move through. So I wanted to take a better look and put on some very good data when it comes to the winds and just how powerful the winds are. We saw on the cameras how powerful those winds are, but even reports from the National Weather Service, look at this, right there in a county just off to our west, they reports of nearly 60-mile-an-hour wind gust. I want to kind of pop over toward the Chicago National Weather Service chat and see if we have any reports. In Lena, Illinois, just a little bit further to our west, they had reports of near 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts. So we're going to be seeing that even here in Rockford. We're going to be fairly busy when it comes to this. So Justin, just look at that downtown camera. Look how much rain is coming down out there.
Yeah, and certainly makes me glad that I'm not on the roads. If you obviously are out driving in this, you're seeing the heavy rain as well, the strong gusty winds. But the potential for the really strong gusty winds, it's certainly there, and it's been there all along as this system continues again to press off towards the east. You can see the very heavy rain right along State Street here, getting to the south and west of the airport. That's where we're seeing some very heavy rain as well. Tommy, if you can zoom, not zoom, but pan kind of towards the north and west, we're actually, south and west, I'm sorry, we're actually seeing that hail core just to the south and west of Winnebago, kind of straddling the Ogle and Winnebago County line, just to the north and east of Myrtle. So if we can zoom in just a little bit closer and kind of pop on some town names or even some road names here, Montague Road as well as North Pecatonica or Pecatonica Road, seeing those very heavy, well, of course now it updates, but seeing the very heavy rain as well, the potential for some of that hail here popping on top just about of the Winnebago area. This is just giving you an idea of how quickly these storms are moving. So you zoom in, you try and get your bearings straight, and then by the time you get your bearings straight, those storms have moved towards the north and east just a little bit. They are moving at anywhere from 40 to 50, in some spots even close to 60 miles per hour towards the east. So they're going kind of highway speeds, if you will, across the state line. Now that's some good news in the fact that we won't be dealing with this for a terribly long amount of time, but it is some bad news because of course it is coming during the middle of the afternoon when a lot of people might be finding themselves on the roads. You can see a live look there just outside of the station here, just outside of the Winnebago area, and you can see where that heavy rain is falling. And again, with these shades of kind of magenta color mixed in, I would not be surprised at all to see some hail falling. In fact, I've heard a couple of pellets here at the station. Now it's obviously kind of hard to tell how large those hail pellets are or hailstones are, but we've seen anywhere from 1 inch to 2 inch in diameter size hail, which is of course severe limits. All of this pushing towards the east as we go into the next 15 to 20 minutes. Tommy, would you be able to put a track on this as it does continue to push towards the east?
Yes, definitely can do that right now. So I want to put that track on here real quick, give me a Give me 1 second, get that going right now. You can already see just how far this system has already started to progress. It's getting through here fairly quickly right now. The computer system's being a little laggy right now, but we're going to get that track on here just for you fairly soon. We can actually hear the siren going off. Let's put on those warnings real quick just to make sure, because everything has been kind of very busy over here. And there has been a tornado warning issued for parts of Winnebago and Boone County right now when it comes to the overall picture of things. So we're going to go ahead and do a cut in on this really quick. So make sure you join us. We're going to have this Facebook Live going on. So right now, we're going to continue to do this right now. You can already see that tornado warning is right here. Let's turn on some velocity right now and kind of see where things are going for the entire area, where they're seeing that rotation. Justin, are you seeing any of that rotation here on satellite and radar?
Yeah, so it looks like it's right along that Highway 20 corridor, right there near, really pretty much on top of that Highway 20 corridor, right there near Springfield Avenue. You're able to see some of that rotation there. So we are going to hop on real quick and do a cut in and go kind of wall to wall. And we're seeing that heavy, again, the tornado warning in effect for Rockford. Notice actually where some of the heaviest of the rotation, or the strongest rotation, is actually just to the west of downtown Rockford. So if you live in Rockford, downtown Rockford especially, you need to be taking shelter right now. That tornado warning is in effect until 3:45 this afternoon. Now, it looks like we're just to the east, the worst of the weather is to the east of the station, so I think we're okay in terms of having to take shelter locally. But if you live in downtown Rockford especially and points east, you need to be taking shelter immediately as this tornado warning storm does continue to push off towards the east. Tommy.
Like that, yes. Let's put a track on this part of the storm right here, and you can already see where the storm is starting to head. And so it's going to be in Cherry Valley by 2:55, and I'm going to go ahead and turn off velocity so we can get a better understanding of how this system is headed toward the east. And so the area that we were paying attention to continue to move toward the east. It's going to be in Cherry Valley fairly soon. They have that in effect through Winnebago and Boone County as well when it comes to that tornado warning. And so I want to get a better idea of how things are starting to pan out. And so as it continues to head towards the easterly track, it's going to be in Belvedere around 3 o'clock, Marengo by 3:18, Cherry Valley by 2:51. And I think we also want to kind of get a very close street view of how things are starting to pan out when it comes to that tornado warning in the area. So that's here where we saw it down close to the downtown Rockford area, putting on that velocity once again to kind of get that better idea so we can talk about these streets. So there along US 20, we can see around State Street as well. You can even see it, the areas there around 251. It's headed toward that area where we can be seeing that as well. And I'm going to put a kind of like a velocity kind of area where we can see it. Saying around North 9th Street is where that biggest rotation is right now. And so here, moving that
couplet looks to be kind of tightening up around, really right around downtown Rockford. So if you are hearing the sound of my voice and you live in downtown Rockford and you're not in your tornado safe zone just yet, you need to be getting there right now. Let's actually pop on the warning kind of chart to show you where you need to be during this tornado warning. Again, in Winnebago County and Boone County for sure. As quickly as this storm is moving, you need to take shelter immediately here. Move now below ground or to the lowest room without windows. Get out of your mobile home and seek shelter immediately, and cover up with blankets and bike helmets if you're able to do so. Now, don't go wasting precious minutes trying to gather the blankets and bike helmets. Just make sure that you're able to get to your safe shelter immediately if you live in Winnebago or Boone County, as this tornado warning storm does continue to press towards the east. I want to pop on radar again and kind of show you where this system is as this does continue to push off towards the east in Boone and Winnebago County, and actually show where the broad rotation, the kind of tightening rotation is actually located, because it is in downtown Rockford as we speak. And you can see that tornado warning storm here just about on top of the Rockford area. Now, kind of showing you a little bit of that rotation here as we zoom in a little bit closer. Thankfully, it's taking on less of a kind of a supercellular structure. However, the velocity is still very well defined here. Just to the east now of Rockford, you can see those where those kind of green and red colors meet. Those are winds going away from and toward the radar. We look at those winds. to see where exactly they're placed. And when we see them tightly coupled like that, this is where we're looking at that rotation, and it is tightening up just a little bit here over eastern portions of, or just outside of downtown Rockford, right along State Street. That's where you're seeing the kind of tightest rotation here, just to the south and east of Loves Park. Zooming in a little bit closer, you can see places like Spring Creek Road seeing some of the worst of the weather. North Alpine, that intersection, a very busy intersection here for especially this time of the day. And we're seeing that rotation pretty much parked right on top of eastern portions of Rockford, just to the east of downtown. Again, this system is pushing towards the east at 40 to 50 miles per hour and has been really gaining strength over the last couple of hours. The only couple of tornado warnings we've had have been in our area in southern Wisconsin. So we've got a little bit of spin to the atmosphere as this storm does continue to press off towards the east. Outside of the tornado warning, we're looking at winds upwards of 60 to 70 miles per hour possible with this particular storm. And you can see that northwest side of Rockford still seeing some very heavy rain and strong gusty winds this, as of this afternoon. And this is a live look at that. And you can see the rain kind of falling. And we've also seen some hail out of this. So again, hail is going to be not a primary concern, but it certainly will be falling out of the worst of the weather that does move through here, anywhere from 1 inch to 2 inches in diameter. The winds by far will be the biggest concern. Obviously, also potential for spin-up tornadoes. So we've seen those tornado warnings pop up.
And I can already see the National Weather Service over here talking about the greatest corridor for wind now is moving right into the greater Rockford area, expecting wind spread up to 80 to locally 90 mile an hour wind gust with this system. So it is going to be a fairly powerful system. You can already see we have that tornado warning still kind of going right now. I wanted to turn back on that velocity and kind of see where that system is currently moving and get a closer look at how things are starting to pan out. So here it is right there. That's where we're starting to see more of that velocity couplet kind of popping up there on satellite and radar. Taking a closer look at that system, that is still right over North Alpine Road, there over Spring Creek as well. Spring Brook getting in on some of that as well. You can already see where we're going to be dealing with that Forest Hills Road, Rural Street, there into the Rockford proper area. So look at that, headed more toward the North Perryville area, East Riverside. That's a very busy intersection as well. So definitely not want to be on the roadways. Get off the roadways if at all possible. Make sure if you are not in your safe spot that you are currently there. Here is this tornado warning slide, and make sure you move now below to the ground to the lowest room if you're not already there. Get out of any mobile homes and seek shelter immediately. As this storm continues to head toward the east, we're still going to have those areas that is not right over the top of you, but you want to make sure you're already getting prepared as well, and cover up with blankets and bike helmets just to keep yourself safe when it comes to this system, its overall potency. So let's go right back into satellite and radar and how the overall picture of things are looking. So we're going to turn off some of this noise to kind of get a better picture of how things are going right now. We're going to actually look at that tornado warning and see how it's actually still panning out right now. Still over there in Winnebago and Boone counties right now, still something to definitely pay attention to if you're out there, if you here in the Rockford area. Taking a closer look at that street view, that was still right over here in this area here in main Rockford, North Alpine Road, headed more toward that East Riverside and North Perryville area. Turning on that velocity once again, Justin, just kind of see where that area is. And you can see just how potent it is.
I mean, it really is maintaining its strength, it looks like, in terms of velocity data. I mean, it's not getting any stronger, which seems to be some good news here, obviously, but if you're along Spring Creek Road, if you're along Alpine Road, if you're along Mulford, Guilford, any of these roads in these areas, you need to be in your safe place right now. That kind of main couplet here, where that rotation is actually taking place across portions of really the center of your screen here, right along that Alpine Road corridor. Rural Street, I know, is in this area as well. Guilford Road, you're really kind of in the thick of this storm as well. Now, I know the potential for tornadoes, it was smaller, but we're still seeing these really strong rotation signatures showing up. And in fact, this is one of the strongest that we've seen so far today. Velocity not overly impressive, but I want you to keep in mind these winds are making it to the ground for sure, even if a tornado is not, which I'm assuming, Tommy, this is radar indicated, correct, from the National Weather Service?
Yes, radar indicated. Is saying that right there on the National Weather Service discussion with their tornado warning that they issued. It's updated around 2:43 to talk about it for Boone and Winnebago counties until 3:45. It's saying that this is capable of producing a tornado moving east at around 25 miles an hour. So let's get a track on that to kind of get a better idea of where this system is going currently. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off velocity and kind of zoom out to get a better picture of where this storm is going around 25 miles an hour.
Briefly turn off radar just to see where that tornado warning is in Winnebago County.
Yes, we can do that right now. It is currently right over the Rockford area. You can already see there. That's going to include Cherry Valley, heading into Belvedere as well. Loves Park is partially a part of that right now. Irene, these are the areas we're looking at, pretty much going along kind of US 20 right there, and also around kind of that corridor over there toward East Riverside Boulevard as well. So if we take a look at a picture of the Northwest Rockford, this is what we're going to be dealing with when it comes to the area. Look at that. Plenty of rainfall coming down. You can already see some hail, some fairly gusty winds. Can't really see much because you see just how much rain is coming down on there. That is just how potent this storm is, Justin. Very, very busy this afternoon.
Yeah, and these storms are moving very, very fast, and that's one of the concerns, especially when we're talking about the risk for tornadoes. How quickly these storms are able to really spin up a quick spin-up tornado is really going to be something that we'll be keeping a very close eye on, especially as that tornado warning storm continues to work its way through Winnebago and Boone County. Right now, the worst of the weather right along the Winnebago-Boone County line, and you can see that just to the north of Cherry Valley. This is where we're actually seeing the tightest rotation right in here. Now, I believe we've also got correlation coefficient. Tommy, could you pop that on there as well? I just want to see if we're seeing any kind of signatures for any kind of debris on this particular image or not. But certainly the tight rotation right here just to the south, just to the north and west, I should say, of Cherry Valley. Luckily, we're not seeing much in terms of debris, at least any kind of signature of it. However, this could be likely some radar clutter right here near Belvedere. So that's some good news as the system does continue to press off towards the east. And again, clearing off all of this kind of correlation coefficient and velocity, what are we talking about? We're talking about that potential for tornadic storms, as we do have a tornado warning still in effect for Winnebago and Boone County.
Yes, and I actually just got a report from ComEd that actually says that we have nearly 18,000 without power right now from this storm system as it continues to move toward the east. And that is stretching all the way down from Dixon into the Rockford region as well. So fairly powerful system as it continues its easterly track. And even want to get a better idea of how we're starting to pan out right now. So I want to put back on velocity at the time and kind of see how things are going. And I actually kind of want to first go back to satellite and radar and look at the overall picture. So continue to see the system head toward the east. I want to put a track on that and see the main area that we were kind of keeping an eye on with that tornado warning is going to be here into Belvedere around 3:07 p.m. So Belvedere, definitely, if you're not in your safe spot right now, you definitely need to get there at the time. You need to get there and don't wait for the system to be right over the top of you. And so let's take a closer look and zoom in at some of that street view once again. You can already see kind of the outline. The red is kind of hindering just a little bit, but where that tornado warning is, there's actually another little corner that actually popped on there as well. I'm going to turn off satellite and radar right now to kind of get a better idea.
Central Boone County near Poplar Grove, Caledonia, under that tornado warning right now.
Yes, so they kind of extended that just a little bit right now. That is going to be in effect all the way until 3:45. So it's going to be the same duration as the one we currently have. They're just kind of including more of the area because it could be capable of producing something up there as well. And we're also still talking about that hail and that wind damage with this system as well. So we're going to continue. We're going to track that system as it continues to move into the area and see how it's going to be moving through this area. So let's kind of get a closer look at how things are starting to pop in around Poplar Grove around 3:05. Belvedere at 3:04, Cherry Valley 2:57, and Capron around 3:11 is what we're starting to see more of those systems kind of getting into the area at this 20-mile-an-hour speed toward the east. So Justin, a very slow but quick moving system at the same time, it looks like right now.
Yeah, the system as a whole is moving between 50 and 60 miles per hour, but it's these individual cells that are developing that are moving just a little bit slower. But regardless, if you're in Boone County, this storm is on your doorstep, so you need to be taking shelter immediately. Don't go necessarily looking at these exact times and going, okay, well, I'll wait until 3:03 to take shelter. No, go ahead and take shelter right now because you're under that tornado warning. And that storm, again, is pushing towards the east, and you can see where kind of the worst of the northern portion of this storm is, pretty much right just to the south of Argyle, right along the Winnebago-Boone County line. As we zoom in just a little bit closer, not a good day to be at Rockford State Park. That's where we're seeing some very heavy rain as well. That's where the potential for that rotation is kind of really ramping up here across portions of eastern Winnebago County. I do also, you notice this kind of notch here where the winds are going away from the radar. Newest update there, you can see it pushing off towards the north. The radar, the rotation I should say, is right here on almost on top of and just to the south and west of Caledonia. We're still seeing quite a bit of rotation out of this particular storm, so certainly concerning. Could you pop on correlation coefficient one more time, Tommy? I just want to see if there's any kind of debris signature out of this. Again, these storms are well known for producing some very heavy winds, as well as the potential for some tornadoes right about here. Could possibly be some of that debris showing up on radar if there is indeed a confirmed tornado on the ground. Right now, it looks like a radar indicated tornado, but you want to take the threat seriously all the same, especially if you live in Caledonia, just to the east of Rockford State Park. That's where the worst of the weather is right now. Poplar Grove, you need to be in your safe place immediately with this tornado warning that continues to press off towards the east. Do we have any kind of updates from the National Weather Service? The
only thing they're saying is they're kind of giving us an update quickly on why they decided to extend that warning all the way into parts of northern Boone County. It's just saying they were kind of concerned around that I-90 corridor east of McChesney Park headed northwest, because that's why the tornado was issued, because of that rotation that they start to see in the area. And we already kind of showed you where that rotation is right now, but let's go right ahead and put it right back on and kind of show it. Getting fairly close to Caledonia right now in Poplar Grove, still to the east of Rockford State Park right now, along Illinois 173 currently, and kind of getting that fairly closer look at that area. Right over Argyle is kind of what we're looking at, and just to the north of East Riverside Boulevard right there as well. So Harlem Road being impacted, heading toward Caledonia Road, Beloit Road. These are the areas where get in your safe spot immediately if you're not already there. You want to make sure that you are getting there, because this tornado warning is still possible. Currently, it's going to be going on until around 3:45 as it continues its northeasterly track into northern Boone County right now. And just see how potent it is. See how that velocity is taking place. And here's that storm system without the radar scope, and just look how aggressive it is. Those darker reds indicating a lot of heavier rainfall. We're going to be seeing wind, and even with their report, there also still the possibility of some hail with this system. So Argyle, Caledonia Road, Beloit Road, Rockford State Park. If you live in any of these areas that we're mentioning, definitely do not want to be heading toward your safe spot. Be in that safe spot right now. Stay safe, and just make sure that you are definitely staying safe out there right now. That is the biggest concern that is going on right now. So definitely want to pay attention to that into the rest of the evening. Justin?
Yeah, the worst of the weather looks to be right along and just to the east of I-39, I-90. So this storm is moving pretty quickly. I mean, I know it's only moving at about 20 miles per hour, but it is moving pretty fast into places like Belvedere, like Capron as well, getting into places like Argyle, and putting a track on that system just as a whole. Rotation and everything. You can see Caledonia here by about 3:04, 3:07 for Belvedere, and Capron by 3:14 if it holds together long enough, which it likely will. It will be pushing out of Boone County likely within the next 30 to 45 minutes, which is some good news there. But in the meantime, we've got to keep a very close eye on this system. And it still looks like that tornado warning is still in effect for southeastern portions of Winnebago County. Is that correct, Tommy?
Yes, it seems like that is still going to be going on, and they're also continuing the severe thunderstorm warning all the way into around 3:15 for Winnebago, Ogle, and Lee County as well, talking about that wind gust that they dropped down from 80 down to 60, and still the chance for some hail as well.
Yeah, and keep in mind, an 80 to 60 mile per hour wind is still very, very strong. We're looking at, some of the damage reports out of places like far western Illinois and eastern Iowa of numerous trees down, semis down as well. You can see very heavy rain on the northwest side of Rockford. With that live image, I would not be surprised to see some hail as well with this particular system, with this particular image, because we've seen it really for the last couple of minutes as we've been kind of keeping a very close eye on this vantage point. Now, would you mind zooming out just a bit, Tommy? I want to see just kind of the progression of the line overall, because the line itself is moving very, very quickly at about 40 to 50 miles per hour towards essentially the due east direction. However, it's these individual little spinning cells that are moving kind of towards the north and towards the east, which is why we've got those tornado warnings in effect. Kind of bowing out that wind here along Interstate 39 to the east of Interstate 39 in Ogle and Lee County. The worst of the weather has passed you just to the east now, getting into DeKalb County. However, we want to focus in on that tornado warning that is in effect here for Winnebago and Boone County. The southeastern corner, this does include places like Cherry Valley under that tornado warning as we speak, likely going to be dropped for that here in the short term as that rotation does look to continue pushing off towards the east. Belvedere, you're firmly in that tornado warning. I want you to be in your safe zone right now if you are not already there. Poplar Grove, same for you as well. Caledonia, Capron, any of these areas in Boone County. If you're in Boone County and you're hearing the sound of my voice, I want you to be in your safe zone. Tommy.
That definitely, and I'm going to go ahead and put back on velocity real quick to kind of get a better picture of how things are starting to pan out. Then we'll pop right on over to correlation coefficient. And so let's go toward the north where we're starting to see more of that rotation kind of taking place. And this is why they extended it more toward the north, because it's kind of headed more toward the Poplar Grove area and that Capron area. And just to the east of Roscoe, you can already see that entire area. Getting another update here soon. Starting to fall apart just a little bit, as you can tell right now, but still something to kind of keep an eye out on into the rest of the day. And so kind of turn on correlation coefficient. Not really seeing much. Are you seeing much on here, Justin?
No, it looks very messy. It doesn't look like there's anything really well defined that could possibly be construed for debris, at least on the ground, which is certainly some good news here with this particular storm. Now, again, we've been kind of advertising the threat for the strong gusty winds just about all day, but there has been that potential for tornadoes here as we go into the afternoon, and we have been kind of in the prime atmosphere for them as several tornado warnings have been issued in northern Illinois and southern Wisconsin. This does include portions of Boone County. It does look like, though, the southeastern corner of Winnebago County has been dropped. So if you live in Winnebago County, you're seeing the heavy rain, you're seeing the lightning, and certainly some gusty winds, but that tornado warning does look to be pretty much over for those of you that live in Winnebago. Still continuing, though, across Boone County, just to the east of Belvedere. That's where some very heavy rain is falling. Pop on velocity data here one more time for me, Tommy. Again, heavy rain and strong gusty winds with this. The best kind of, the most ideal looking sort of rotation is just to the north of Belvedere. We're looking at those very strong gusty winds blowing towards the radar here. That's the green shading that you see, red blowing away from the radar. This particular image is out of Milwaukee. So those winds are rotating with height, and that is why we have that tornado warning that has been issued from the National Weather Service in Chicago. Again, pretty much right on top of Poplar Grove and areas just to the north and west of that as this system continues to pretty quickly, the rotation overall continues to move off towards the north and east. Tommy, do we have any kind of other reports, damage reports or anything to mention?
Right now, the National Weather Service doesn't have many damage reports. The only thing they're talking about is that tornado warning that they're continuing all the way until that 3 o'clock time frame, until like 3:45 at least, because they're talking about that system over Boone County until 3:45. This is going to be a severe thunderstorm producing a tornado possible over Candle Lake or over Poplar Grove, moving to the northeast at around 30 miles an hour right now. So that is going to be something that we're going to be paying attention to. And not only do we have this system that is producing a potential tornado, we have power lines that have been reported down in Dixon. You can already see right now they're mainly dealing with heavy rainfall down there, but you see that main line that moved through is now into DeKalb is what brought down those power lines there in Dixon. So definitely why you want to stay inside of your safe space, even after everything has kind of gotten out of the way, to make sure that you're staying safe, because this area that we're mainly focusing on right now is in Boone County as we continue that tornado warning all the way until 3:45. I want to get a better picture of kind of what that tornado warning looks like. It's mainly into the area. They have not seemed to have extended it into at all McHenry County at all. It's mainly staying into that Boone County area right now, Justin, which is good news for McHenry County right now, but we're still keeping an eye on seeing if that system continues to have some power behind it. And just turning on velocity, not really seeing much. I can still see that rotation that we see right over there, and that's mainly over the Poplar Grove area and that Capron area. I'm kind of getting a closer look at those areas right now. Over Poplar Grove, Argyle, heading out of Winnebago County and more toward the Capron area right now. So
yeah, and the worst of the weather for areas of Ogle and Lee County to the east of I-39. That has been kind of more of a straight line wind threat. It's this northern end. This is where we are seeing some what we call bookend vortices, and these basically are little pockets of mini rotation or pretty stout rotation, as we've seen at some points during the evening, where that rotation could certainly lead to tornadoes. And we have seen that rotation at times looking pretty healthy over, especially when it was over southeastern portions of Winnebago County, looking like it's a little bit more broad here over northern Boone County, which is a sign that hopefully some of this rotation is going to start to weaken and it's moving into a slightly less favorable environment. But zooming in a little bit closer towards Poplar Grove, you really can see where the heaviest of the weather really is here, right along that Highway 76, Highway 173 corridor between Caledonia and Poplar Grove. That's where some heavy rain is likely. On top of that, of course, we're dealing with numerous lightning strikes here across the state line. So that, of course, is no big surprise here as these storms do continue to push off towards the east. You can see just how much lightning is being kind of put out from these storms. Starting to quiet down in terms of the lightning, at least in Stevenson, western Ogle, and Lee County. But really, overall, the big concern for us right now does remain that threat for strong gusty winds, especially in Winnebago County and Boone County. And again, that threat for a tornado. Now, did that tornado warning, has it been, it looks like it might have been dropped for Boone County.
It's still going right now. It's
okay.
Just a lot of, I was just trying to get a better picture of how things were going right now.
Yes.
So.
Now, that tornado warning, again, still in effect for Boone County, Belvedere, places like Poplar Grove, Argyle. You're under that tornado warning, and it's really kind of an impressive look here at satellite radar. You can actually see where some of that heaviest rain is. Can we pop on the tornado warning kind of infographic, if you will? If you are under that tornado warning in Boone County, if you live in Boone County and you're not in your safe spot yet, you need to be taking shelter immediately. Move now below ground or to the lowest room without windows. You also want to make sure you're getting out of your mobile home and seeking shelter immediately. You can cover up with those any blankets or bike helmets that you might have lying around. Don't waste time trying to find those things, especially if you are already kind of under that tornado warning. You're kind of under the gun in Boone County for that, so don't waste precious minutes looking for those things. But if you happen to have them nearby in your storm shelter, certainly grab them. Otherwise, make sure you're taking yourself to and your family to the lowest room without windows right now if you live in Boone County, and really even into McHenry County as the storm does push into just outside of our viewing area. We're seeing that rotation still looking fairly healthy. Thankfully, it is starting to weaken just a bit. However, the tornado warning does continue in Boone County again until 3:45. And you can see along that line, we've actually got several tornado warnings. If you want to pop off radar here and just kind of pop those warnings on. This does include eastern portions of DeKalb County, closer to the Chicago area. But again, our big concern right now is with that tornado warning in Boone County. So let's pop on velocity and just see what that rotation looks like here. Severe thunderstorm warnings, as I mentioned, continue for Winnebago, Ogle, and Lee County, but the worst of the weather still just to the east of I-39. And you can see that rotation actually looks to be kind of tightening up just a bit over far northern portions of Boone County. You can see some of those brighter greens and brighter reds. Anytime we see green and red kind of mingling together, that's when we start to look for that potential for a rotation, especially when those colors start to brighten up like that. Strong rotation looks like, or stronger rotation, I should say, compared to what we've had over the last couple of scans, just to the east of Beloit, south of Clinton, and just to the north of Poplar Grove. If you live in north central Boone County, you certainly need to be in your safe place as this storm does continue to press off towards the north and towards the east at, as I believe Tommy said, 30 miles per hour. Again, all of this pressing out of really just a long line of thunderstorms that have been well kind of advertised as being potentially severe.
And I turned on correlation coefficient to kind of give it a better picture of how things are going on in that realm. Not really showing much on correlation coefficient right now, Justin. Yeah,
that's certainly some good news. Now, what this particular image does is just shows the potential for debris. So if the radar picks up something that's not meteorological, in other words, not rain or not hail, it picks it up as bright shades of blue. And we're not seeing that here on this particular image, which is some good news, likely not indicating the presence of any kind of debris. but again, that tornado warning remains in effect for Boone County. If you live in Boone County and you are not in your safe place yet, you need to be there, especially near the Poplar Grove area. Belvedere, you're still technically under that tornado warning. I think the worst of the weather, though, has pressed just to the east of your area. Caledonia, Poplar Grove, Argyle, you're still seeing some of that very heavy rain. And as we saw just a moment ago on velocity, still seeing some of that rotation quite strong in some spots, especially north of Poplar Grove as it continues to make its way. This particular cell continues to make its way through northeastern Boone County. I mean, we're seeing rainfall rates of on the order of several inches per hour in the heaviest part of the storm, and of course this is going to lead to some possibly localized flooding as these storms continue to press off towards the east. Hunter Road, Poplar Grove Road, Highway 76, you're seeing kind of the worst of the weather right now. Right along Highway 73, you're also seeing that, again, just outside of Winnebago County. This is in Boone County, so you need to be in your safe place for those of you that live in Boone County. But again, Winnebago County, you're out of the clear, at least in terms of the tornado warning. You're still under that severe thunderstorm warning, though.
And that definitely. And so I'm going to go back over here and trying to see what we're getting when it comes to reports in the National Weather Service. So we've actually seen other reports outside of Boone County. They're still kind of honing in on that tornado warning that they have in Boone County right now. But we actually have reports where we have quarter-sized hail there in Boone County from this storm that actually moved through in Belvedere right over that area. So still other problems that we're having from this storm, even though we have a tornado warning out there, and even some wind report damages of nearly, see it right. You can already talk about small land in Rochelle. They're talking about that, but that system continued to move toward the east. So like we're still going to see plenty going on right now. So we can already see we're getting impacted right here from this storm system as it continues to move through. Although we're not under the thick of it, we're still having some impact. So let's take a deeper dive when it comes to that system right over there in Boone County. So the overall picture right now, we still have that tornado warning in effect all the way until 3:45. They have not dropped it off. You can already see when it comes to velocity, where the velocity is actually headed to be the worst of it right now is in northern Boone County, about to head over into Rock County fairly soon and toward the east there. So you can already see just how things start to pan up. So that's along Illinois 76 right there is where we're starting to see the biggest impact of it. And specifically this road right here, Hunter Road and Elevator Road as it hits into Winnebago County, and Caledonia Road as well. That's where that biggest rotation is occurring. So if you're in this area, Manchester Road, it's going to be near you fairly soon. Get into your safe spot. If you're not already there, do not wait for it to see that velocity couplet getting over you. You definitely want to be there right now. Get now to the lowest level, get away from windows and doors, get out of mobile homes, whatever you can do to stay safe, be safe out there, and don't go outside unless absolutely necessary. Right now we've actually had an update, so let's kind of move up and kind of see where that system is actually going right now. So we can already see it's actually starting to get into that border area there into the Wisconsin border area. I'm going to turn the kind of velocity off right now to kind of get a better picture. They've actually just now added on top of that tornado warning, it looks like another kind of severe thunderstorm warning. Let me get a picture on that over here, Justin, while kind of hand things off to you and kind of get a better idea of how things are kind of going on right now. Yeah, that storm continues to press off towards the north and east. The individual cells, which is what we're looking at here on Exact Track, moving towards the north and east at about 30 miles per hour. However, it's the line, the main line of showers and thunderstorms that are pressing towards the east at about 40 to 50, and in some spots even close to 60 miles per hour. I'm actually hearing some wind picking up here just outside of the station. So behind the worst of the weather, we actually do have some of the stronger winds kind of pushing in as that mid-level flow kind of makes its way into kind of the surface here of western portions of Winnebago County. But again, we're really focusing in on that potential for a tornado here. We're looking at Boone County near Belvedere, Poplar Grove, and we're still seeing this storm again pressing off towards the north and east at about 30 miles per hour. It's the line itself moves basically due east at between 40 and 60 miles per hour. So the good news with this is it's moving through very, very fast. However, the bad news is we've got these tornado warnings and they come with very little in terms of advance notice because they are moving so quickly. So certainly keeping a very close eye on that. How is that rotation looking over Boone County, Tommy? When it comes to the rotation right now, here's a better picture of how things are going.
And overall, I mean, you can see where the kind of the strongest rotation is. We're talking right on the border here with northern Illinois and southern Wisconsin. Now, the kind of silver lining here with all of this is it does look to be pretty broad scale rotation, meaning it's not very tight. However, any kind of rotation in a situation like this, and you're really keeping a very close eye on that potential for tornadoes.
That definitely, and I know even in the National Weather Service there in Milwaukee, they're keeping an eye on that system as it's starting to move toward the area. They actually canceled, it looks like the National Weather Service has now canceled that tornado warning for Boone County, which is good news. That happened around 3:18. So still something to pay attention to. We still have other impacts from this, which is going to be heavy rainfall, those very high winds, and also a lot of lightning with this as well. And we already saw those hail reports that we had come in, and so that's still something to pay attention to, even though this is now headed toward there into the Rock County area and onward from there. So something to definitely pay attention to, and just kind of getting a better idea of what the National Weather Service is starting to see as well. They're still keeping that severe thunderstorm warning there into Rock County as well. So Justin, we're going to send it right back over to you to kind of get a better picture of how things are going.
Yeah, and until this line of showers and thunderstorms moves out of our area, we're still under the gun for that severe thunderstorms as well, even the potential for tornadoes. But severe thunderstorm watch again remains in effect until 7 o'clock this evening. We'll go back to regularly scheduled programming, but if you're wanting to follow along on Facebook Live, we're going to be there continuing coverage. Well, we've got that tornado warning that looks like it has been canceled in northern Boone County, which is certainly some good news. However, we're still seeing some very, very heavy rain and strong gusty winds with this system as this continues to press off towards the north and east there. That tornado warning is dropping off of northern Boone County. We are still under that severe thunderstorm warning though, Tommy.
They do have like a little corner of it there over just to the north of Poplar Grove. So that's going to include Capron into that area as well. So those are the areas that are going to be impacted along North Capron Road and Hunter Road. But they're starting to drop off it more and more as that system continues to head more toward the east and start to head toward the north as well. Still have that severe thunderstorm warning in effect as well, Justin. So something to still keep an eye on right now. And I'm going to turn on velocity just to kind of get a better picture of how things are starting to pan out when it comes to that rotation overall in that system. So very broad rotation still currently. Still seeing that kind of getting very close to that Wisconsin-Illinois border area.
Yeah, and what we're looking at when we show you this, now if you're kind of new to this area, just now tuning into kind of severe weather coverage locally, what we're looking at is velocity data. So basically the reds are winds blowing away from the radar, while the greens are winds blowing towards the radar. Anytime we look at a radar image and see velocity data that includes reds and greens kind of butted up against one another, that's when we start to see that potential for rotation. And earlier in the afternoon, these areas of rotation looked a lot more healthy, a lot more vigorous. However, it has lost a lot of its oomph. Still seeing, though, some brighter shades of reflectivity here, at least in terms of velocity, as this storm continues to move through far northeast portions of Boone County. If you live in Capron, you still need to be in that safe place, as that small little corner of northeast Boone County is still included in that tornado warning. And McHenry County, you need to also be taking this storm very seriously, as this system will likely clip far northwestern McHenry County as it continues to push off towards north and east of Boone County. Again, Capron still seeing some very heavy rainfall, still technically under that tornado warning, and Tommy is putting a track on that system as it does continue to push off towards the north and east at about 30 miles per hour. The system as a whole is moving at between 50 and 60 miles per hour, but the individual cells, which is what we're looking at when we look at these kind of tornado warnings, are moving at about 30 miles per hour or so. Harvard by about 330, Walworth by about 333. So if you live in this area and you're watching this storm on Facebook Live, make sure you're in your safe place, as this storm does continue to press off towards the north and east at about 30 miles per hour. On top of that, I'm hearing some very heavy winds here at the station, and the worst of the weather is pretty much to the east of us here in western portions of Winnebago County. So the winds are going to still be kind of with us here as we go through the afternoon and early part of the evening. A live look outside of our station, you can see the winds are causing those trees to toss and turn quite a bit there, Tommy.
Yes, and they actually now just issued an aerial flood advisory for Winnebago and Boone counties with all the rainfall that's coming through, and just the very heavy rainfall that we've already seen all the way until around 9:15. So something to pay attention to if you're going to be out in the roadways after all this has already started to pass is that we are going to have that aerial flood advisory in effect all the way until 9:15 tonight.
Would you mind, Tommy, putting on precip rate just to see what kind of rainfall rate we're looking at? Now, some of this data is probably going to be a little skewed because we do have the potential for hail being kind of placed into our rainfall rates. But where you see those bright whites, just do a little inquiry on that because this is some very heavy rainfall rates. We have had quite a saturated atmosphere over the last the last 24, 48 hours, and we're actually seeing that kind of showing up on radar here. If you toggle off the warnings, that should help you with the inquiries. But we've seen rainfall rates on the order of 4 to 5 inches per hour over the last, over the afternoon or so, just to the north of Poplar Grove. That's where the rain is heaviest. And again, all of this is pressing off towards the north and east. This particular cell, I should say, is pressing off towards the north and east. And we're seeing the rainfall also pushing towards the east. So we're seeing the very heavy rainfall, which is certainly falling, and we do need rainfall, just not all of it at one time. And that could certainly lead to some flash flooding. If you do come across a flooded roadway, make sure you turn around, don't drown.
I think that's going to be the biggest key here, and actually getting some reports right now. If reports there in Rockford, a large limb was down, estimated time by radar around like 3:24, so around like 2:40. They're getting that report in at 3:24. We're also talking about power outages and poles down there in Rockford and Winnebago County due to some large trees across the roadways, mainly near Mulford and Spring Creek Road. So numerous reports flooding in right now from the National Weather Service when it comes to everything that we have been dealing with here in Winnebago, Boone, and across the state line as a whole.
And keep in mind, it's 3:30 in the afternoon. I mean, I live in the area of East Rockford, on the east side, and those areas are extremely busy this time of the day. I mean, they're pretty much busy at all times of the day, but especially at this time of the afternoon. And we're seeing quite a bit of wind damage as well, rainfall, heavy rainfall, which could lead to some of that potential for flash flooding and that aerial flood advisory. Still have that tornado warning, so we do want to continue to kind of keep a very close eye on that over far northeastern portions of Boone County. Again, zooming in just outside of Poplar Grove, that's where your tornado warning is, again, until 3:45. So another 15 to 20 minutes or so left on that before it should be allowed to expire as this storm does continue to press off towards the north and towards the east. The worst of the weather right now, right along that highway, right along, it looks like Capron Road, just to the north and west of that, you're seeing the heaviest rain. And I want to also kind of draw your attention to the left side of your screen. Notice the kind of swirl, for lack of a better term, right over Winnebago and Boone County, Boone County and McHenry County. I want to show you that because that's actually what's called a bookend vortice. A lot of times on the northern and southern extent of these thunderstorms, this line of thunderstorms, we see these bookend vortices, and this is where rotation is present in the mid and upper levels. And that's exactly what we've had so far this afternoon with these tornado warnings that continue to push towards the north and towards the east. Still seeing that small corner, if you can take radar off of this, and you can still see that small corner of Boone County under that tornado warning. Widening out the view, I do want to show you, it looks like there were some tornado warnings that were just recently put into place here for areas of, it looks like Cook County or DuPage County. Regardless, outside of our area, but still towards the Chicago area, seeing that rotation really tighten up. And that is what's leading to the potential for, of course, not only the tornado threat, but also the high, strong, gusty winds. No severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for areas outside of Boone County, but we are still seeing that severe thunderstorm threat essentially for areas along and east of I-39. And I would not be surprised to see the severe thunderstorm watch gradually kind of pared away as these storms do progress towards the east. Of course, the severe thunderstorm watch right now is in effect until 7 o'clock area wide, so we'll keep a very close eye on that. But towards Aurora, there have been some, I saw some confirmed reports of at least some of that rotation likely here over portions of the suburbs.
I noticed they have been talking about that a little bit as well here in the National Weather Service chat, but I know right now they're still kind of getting some more pictures of some reports still flooding in from all across the state line right now. That's their biggest thing that's going on. So keeping a very close eye on that system down there in Aurora, Justin, something to definitely pay attention to.
Yeah, and another thing that I want you to kind of think about is with these storms, they are pushing through, of course, and this is the heaviest, the strongest gusty winds are going to be right along that leading edge. But keep in mind, there's a lot of wind power that's driving these storms through the area. So even though the heaviest of the weather is beyond you, places like Freeport, places like Ogle County and Dixon, you're still seeing that very heavy winds here. You're actually looking at some of this, and this is heavy rain that's falling. However, we're also seeing quite a bit of wind energy that's getting kind of pulled to the ground. So if we put velocity data just kind of as a whole across the state line, I want to show you where some of these strongest winds are, and boom, there it is right here over portions of Ogle, Lee, as well into Winnebago County. Pop on a couple of velocities here. 58-mile-per-hour velocity, that is indicative of where some of that wind is strongest. I can hear it howling on top of our building. So we are seeing those strong gusty winds, not just with that main line of thunderstorms, but also beyond that. As some of that wind energy gets pulled down to the surface, you see those winds gusting upwards of 60 miles per hour possible. Again, these are radar indicated winds here, still holding on to that 50 to 60 mile per hour threat, which technically is considered severe weather. Severe is a requirement, I should say, for severe thunderstorms.
All right. So when it comes to the overall picture of things, we can still see that we have this area of showers and thunderstorms, and we're going to do a cut in on air, so we'll be returning to you fairly soon after this, but we kind of want to get prepared to kind of warn everybody as what's still occurring here in the state line. We'll be right back.
Good evening. We want to provide you some updates here on the storms that are moving through. The good news here, we've got severe thunderstorm warnings and tornado warnings that have been allowed to expire. So if you live in Boone County, you were under a tornado warning just moments ago, that has been allowed to expire. We are still seeing some very strong gusty winds out of this as the back edge of this system moves in. The winds that have been kind of steering this line of thunderstorms have been getting pushed to the ground. So we've seen some winds gusting upwards of 50 to 60 miles per hour. We do have a live shot just outside of our studios. You can see those winds are really whipping around those trees, as well the light poles that are outside of our station. So again, winds are going to continue to be an issue even outside of the worst area of thunderstorm activity. Again, the worst of that has pushed just to the east of I-39, but we're still seeing some very heavy rain as well, some very strong gusty winds. We'll continue to kind of cut in as needed on here on air as well as on Facebook Live. If you do want to follow us on Facebook Live, we're continuing our coverage right there. Now back to regularly scheduled programming. we've got heavy rain moving through our area as well as very heavy winds. Now, I can report that the worst of the weather, at least in terms of the severe weather threat, does look to be east of our area. It's pushing very quickly towards the east. Places like Chicago, they're going to be next in line as this line of thunderstorms continues to press towards the east. However, we're still dealing with a very heavy rain as well. Another thing that has kind of picked up, at least from what I can hear at the station, the winds. Of course, they were strong during the storms, but even after the thunderstorms have kind of the worst of the storms have pressed to the east, we're still seeing some of that very strong gusty winds. We've seen winds aloft getting upwards of 60 to 70 miles per hour. So some of this certainly could be getting pushed down to the ground. You can see the winds are kind of blowing about the trees in our parking lot. We still have lightning here across the state line, so you want to make sure you're staying indoors for that. If you're able to hear thunder roar, you're able to get struck by lightning. So make sure you're taking the precautions there. Heavy rain along into the west of I-39. That is where we're seeing the potential also, Tommy, for some flood. We've got some aerial flood advisories. Is that correct?
Yes, we do have some aerial flood advisories in effect all the way until 9:15 based on the National Weather Service. This is just going to be talking about areas that could lead to some flooding on roadways. Definitely, if you see flooding on roadways, turn around, do not drown. That is the most important thing. If you don't need to drive on that road, just find another opportunity to go somewhere else so you do not get stuck in any of that flooding water. So let's take a closer look at the entire picture of how things are starting to go right now. You can already see satellite and radar is showing you where those storms are still currently sitting. The main line is now pushing toward the Chicago area right now, but still a lot of heavy winds, still some hail still producing from some of these systems. A lot of reports have come in, Justin, from the National Weather Service talking about the downed power lines, the downed trees, roadways being blocked. I know some that we mentioned a bit earlier were Harmon and Lee County. A train spotter, reports wind gusts of up to nearly like 50 to 60 miles an hour, and some reports as well. Look at this, several branches down, exterior siding of houses peeled away from some of these areas there in Lee County. And DeKalb is also talking about multiple trees and power lines down out there. Estimated wind gusts of near 60 miles an hour for some of these thunderstorms that have continued to move through. Rockford have large limbs down as well. Remember, talked about Mulford and Spring Creek Road being the ones impacted from these showers and thunderstorms as they continue their easterly track. And although we're done with that main line, still numerous impacts we're going to be dealing with into the rest of the evening as those showers and thunderstorms stick around the area.
Yeah, and keep in mind, we're heading into the really busiest part of the day in terms of people on the roads driving. So if you do come across those down power lines, you want to make sure and avoid them. Also, make sure you're avoiding those kind of rain-covered roadways, and we will likely see some of that. I know it's been dry the last couple of weeks. We've not seen any kind of organized rain shower activity, but when the rainfall rates equal 2, 3, 4, 5 inches of rain per hour, you certainly can see some of that, especially in those more urbanized areas where we've got a lot of concrete. Just taking a look at some of the storm reports, wind damage there just to the north and west of Rochelle, as well wind damage just to the just to the west of I-39, as well some hail reports there over eastern Winnebago and Boone County. Still seeing some of those very strong gusty winds. I will say though, just taking a look at this storm report map here, that it looks like have been, at least for the most part, spared kind of the worst of the weather, really back towards places like central Iowa. They had wind gusts upwards of 90 miles per hour earlier today. We have not had anything yet, at least not showing up on storm reports here just yet, but we still have quite a number. Oh, there we go, 92 mile per hour wind speed right there, a private weather station there just south of Dixon as of about 2:39 p.m. So 20 to 30 minutes of winds gusting at more than 50 miles per hour, and that was one of the biggest threats for today was those strong gusty winds. We actually do have severe thunderstorm watch still in effect for parts of the viewing area. Stevenson County, I believe, has been dropped from that, but we still have that severe thunderstorm watch that is in effect until 7 o'clock here for places like Winnebago, Ogle, as well Lee County and Boone County. As all of this continues to push towards the east, these watches will also get shaved away at some point here, and you're seeing all of the tornado warnings that's in effect here just to the east of DeKalb County. Still seeing severe thunderstorm warnings as well east of DeKalb County and Boone County. So let's pop on radar again and show you where some of the heaviest rain still is. Now, this is what's called bright banding. So basically what we're looking at, the middle levels of the atmosphere, is rain that starts as snow or hail and is actually beginning to melt. So that shows up as some higher reflectivity or some yellows and oranges here. That's actually what we're seeing. Now the rain is still going to be pretty steady, so don't discount that, but we're likely seeing a little bit of this slightly exaggerated because of that bright banding effect that does show up on radar generally after these kind of showers, after these kind of linear complexes move through. Now I want to zoom out here and just kind of take a look at the tornado warnings that are in effect, because there are several here closer towards the Chicago area. You can actually see kind of individual notches. This is where we're looking at for the potential for tornadic development. Again, east of our area, we're looking at mainly just a rain and wind threat here as we go into the afternoon and the rest of the afternoon and evening hours. In the meantime, that tornado threat will continue to push towards the east. So too will the organized winds with this line of thunderstorms. But just to the west of us here, that's where we're still seeing some of those very strong gusty winds. If you could pop on velocity here, Tommy, and let's take a look at some of those winds, because they are, again, pretty strong even behind that main line of thunderstorms. You see that brighter shade of kind of an aquamarine color here. This is indicative of some very strong winds, and those winds are coming out of essentially the due west on Interstate 39, which is a north to south road. So if you're a high profile vehicle, if you're a semi, you need to be taking it very seriously.
All right. So yes, we've had numerous wind just reports that we already saw there on satellite and radar, and just taking a look at that velocity, just how bright those colors are indicating how much wind, and that is not even correlating to where you see here on satellite and radar where we see the heaviest rain kind of going on to. So something we're going to be paying attention to, and I'm also going to be running some reports of what kind of storm damage we've seen here in the state line to some of our news teams, so they can kind of get that going and kind of get us some more looks of how things have been going throughout this afternoon fairly soon here. So the overall picture is that main line is still kind of headed more towards the Chicago area right now, but when it comes to the recent area, we are starting to see more of those kind of the state line. We're starting to see more of the heavier rainfall and the fairly gusty winds, and you can even see, let's take a look at the downtown kind of Rockford camera that we have at State and Main and just see how breezy those winds out there. There's a actually light pole that's shaking from these winds of how powerful they are moving.
Yeah, and those winds are going to continue here as long as this line of thunderstorms continues to move through. Now, I'm not hearing a lot of lightning with this. Tommy, is there a whole lot in terms of lightning showing up on radar?
We still have some popping up here or there in the state line, but it's still mainly along that main line right now. The overall picture is that in the state line, we still have a few strikes, so we're not out of the clear just yet when it comes to lightning. Lightning strikes are still just as dangerous as anything else going on today and currently, but still not really seeing as much of it compared to that main line that's still pushing off toward the east.
Yeah, I mean, that's just prolific amounts of lightning here. Just curious, how could you put a splice on that storm kind of close to Chicago? I'm just curious to see how tall those storm tops are.
Yes, let's do that. All right.
And again, keep in mind the worst of the weather is to the east of us, and you can see just how tall those cloud tops are. 50,000 feet up in the atmosphere. That is a lot of wind energy. We're pulling in a lot of instability with these thunderstorms as they do continue to push out of our area. We're again seeing really mainly the heavy rain that's kind of wrapping in behind it, as well as the strong gusty winds. Now, kind of in the 20 to 30,000 feet area, that's where we're seeing those strong gusty winds really kind of originate from. And it's those winds that are going to be causing quite a bit of kind of noise here across the state line, for lack of a better term, really all the way through the evening. As long as we've got the rain sticking around, we will see those winds gusting upwards of 30 to possibly even as much as 40 or 50 miles per hour. However, the kind of the worst of the wind energy has pushed to our east, which is certainly some good news there. The higher the cloud tops, the higher the storm clouds, the stronger those storms are. And again, we're looking at the potential with some of these as they continue to press towards Chicago of seeing some pretty large hail. Even locally, we've seen upwards of 1.5 to 2 inch in diameter size hail. Again, no active warnings in this particular line of thunderstorms, at least not locally. All of that has been kind of pushing out of our viewing area into far southeastern Wisconsin and northeastern portions of Illinois. What we are seeing, though, again, is this kind of steady, pretty heavy rain at that, especially along and west of I-39. That's where we're seeing some of the heaviest rain right now. And we do have those aerial flood advisories in effect for at least some of us here in the state line, Tommy.
That definitely is something to pay attention to. And I actually kind of want to target on sweeping radar. Still have those severe thunderstorm watches in effect currently for still Winnebago, Boone, Ogle, and Lee counties. Stevenson County has been dropped off, but still paying attention to some of those areas to see if any of that's dropping off right now. But still have plenty going on right now when it comes to that very heavy rainfall and those very gusty winds. And even still talking about those reports that we saw when we had the power outages that we mentioned earlier throughout the day, still taking a look at some of those and even taking a look at some of the areas that we're seeing down power lines, multiple trees and power lines down in DeKalb County. You can already see there in Winnebago County, just to Mulford and Spring Creek. We talked about that, those large trees being down across the road. So something to kind of pay attention to over across the entire area. And here's the ComEd map showing you where we have the power outages right now. Just look how numerous they are all across the state line and across northern Illinois as a whole, Justin. Just something to actually keep an eye out on. Numerous people being affected by this storm as it came through.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And unfortunately, until the storm completely exits and that wind begins to subside, there's not a whole lot that power crews are going to be able to do in terms of fixing power lines and getting those repairs necessary. So we'll likely be looking at some power outages even as late as later this evening into possibly even early Tuesday morning. Now, all of this, the worst of the weather has pushed to the east of our area. Some good news there, yes, but we still have some pretty heavy rain just in time for that evening commute here. All of this pushing towards the east at between 40 and 50 miles per hour. I do want to zoom in here to places like northeastern McHenry County because they are under a tornado warning there. Just want to briefly take a look here at some of that velocity data just to the west of McHenry. That's where that kind of rotation is really kind of prime. Now, we're still looking at very broad scale rotation within this particular storm. Nothing in terms of really concentrated, compact rotation. But where we're looking at those reds, that is indicative of winds moving away from the radar location just to the north and east of the state line. So we're looking at just to the south and west, actually, of Milwaukee. The green shades represent winds blowing toward the radar. So where we see those kind of rotation signatures, that's where we see those reds and greens actually meet. Quite a strong signature actually near Antioch, just to the west, I should say, of Antioch with that tornado warning. Again, all of this pressing further out of our viewing area. If you live in McHenry County, or if you know anyone that lives in McHenry County, give them a call. Let them know that they are under a tornado warning north and west. North and eastern, McHenry County. Now, widening out the view and going in a little bit closer to our area. Again, no active warnings for us right now, which is certainly some good news. And don't really anticipate much in terms of active severe thunderstorm warnings, or certainly no tornado warnings with any of this activity. However, we have seen a lot of rain across the state line with this storm that has pushed through, and we're still seeing some of that with those aerial flood advisories. Are you able to pop on, Tommy, the accumulated rainfall so far?
Yes, I can do that right now. Let me pull that up here.
And again, this rain is going to continue for likely several hours longer, and you can actually see where the heaviest of the rain has been along areas north of Highway 20, Pecatonica to Rockton, to places like McChesney Park, Loves Park. 3.5 inches of rain estimated by Doppler radar. Now, this is likely just a little bit higher than what actually fell because there was some hail being reported at this time near Pecatonica. So we're picking up likely on some of that hail that did fall through that storm cloud. But regardless, some very, very heavy rainfall. And you want to make sure if you are under that aerial flood advisory that you're taking it extra cautiously on those roads this evening, especially if you come across any kind of flooded roadways. You want to make sure you're turning around and seeking an alternate route. And again, all of these storms are pushing off towards the east, generally out of our viewing area, which is some good news there. However, we are still seeing some of that very heavy rain kind of pushing through the area. And with that, we're seeing a lot of wind energy, and a lot of this wind is getting pulled down to the ground. I have heard some of that wind just a few minutes ago. It looks like the worst of that wind, though, has died down just a bit, at least where we are here in western Winnebago County. But that wind will continue as we go through the next couple of hours. Again, with the worst of the weather now pushing towards the east of our viewing area, east of DeKalb County. We're talking places like Elgin, Aurora. We've also got some tornado warnings out east of our area. Again, to put some emphasis on this, McHenry County, Lake County, closer to Chicago, near Cook County. That's where some tornado warnings are currently in effect now. The National Weather Service is really keeping a very close eye on that and has done a phenomenal job so far today of handling those warnings that have come out. It's been quite an active day for them, and you can actually see where some of that kind of rotation is and those individual little notches. That's where we look for, especially in situations like this, for that quick spin up tornado.
Yes, Justin, I'm actually not going to be able to be on air because my mouse currently is not working at this computer. So I'm going to head to the desk to kind of continue navigating things real quick. But I still kind of want to take a look at what we're currently dealing with the overall exact track. And so you can already see where that system is continuing to look. It's continuing to take all these heavier storms off toward our east. But you can already see that we're starting to see things being fairly breezy here in the Rockford region. Still plenty of heavy rainfall going on as well. We've had numerous reports of damage, numerous power outages. So even still being in the area, we still have so much to pay attention to, so much to watch out for. Not going to be getting rid of that anytime soon. And let's turn back on lightning to see if we're still seeing any reports for lightning in the area. Still a couple of spots where we're still seeing some lightning. So still something to pay attention to there in Boone County, Stevenson County, and Lee County. Currently, not really much in Winnebago County, maybe one stray lightning strike or two, but still something fairly dangerous that's still happening. And just look at that very potent system that still continue to head toward the east, toward the Chicago area. Wow, just so much lightning in that system still going on.
Yeah, and with these storms, when they do roll through like this, these kind of linear convective complexes, as we call them, we do generally see some pretty steady, heavy at times rain falling behind these. The shades of yellows and orange quite prolific across much of northern Illinois. This is actually something that is a bit of a radar phenomenon called bright banding. And bright banding is basically when you're looking in the kind of the middle levels of the atmosphere and you're seeing some of the rain and, the snow and hailstones kind of melting. You're actually seeing some of that higher reflectivity getting bounced back to radar as those stones and snowflakes do continue to melt. And we're still seeing some of that heavy rain across the state line. And again, we've likely got another hour to hour and a half of that rain before it does finally begin to wind on out. Tommy, could you possibly put a track on kind of the back edge of that heaviest rain as it continues to press towards the east? Again, the threat for severe weather, at least locally, is very quickly subsiding as those storms do continue to press towards the east. But the heavy rain threat is still going to be something that we'll keep a very close eye on again as that continues to push towards the east. Overall, though, the wind is really the biggest wind threat, has pushed to the east of our area. We're still seeing gusty winds, but we're not talking severe level kind of gusty winds here. So that's some good news. Moving through Rockford by about 4:09, DeKalb 4:25, Sugar Grove by about 4:43, and Aurora closer to the 5 o'clock hour, just in time for that evening commute in Chicago and in the Chicago area. Now, we still have that severe thunderstorm watch in effect for Ogle, Lee, as well, Boone and Winnebago County. However, I would not be surprised to see within the next probably 15 to 20 minutes to see this also canceled as these storms continue to press off towards the east. You can also see Stevenson County has been dropped from those severe thunderstorm watches and warnings, which is some good news. No active warnings in our area, at least. Just to the east, though, that's where some pretty active thunderstorms are ongoing. Tornado warnings for northeastern McHenry County, Lake County, Cook County, I believe that's DuPage and Will County as well, closer to the Chicago area. Are there any sort of storm reports or anything like that from that part of the state?
Yes. So we're heading more toward this area, kind of seeing how things are kind of popping up there into the entire state line, still dealing with that heavy rainfall. We're still seeing how this is kind of popping up there along the Chicago area, how radar is kind of moving on, and things are still fairly active there into the Chicago region, Justin. It's very active this afternoon and heading into the evening as well for that area, but mainly in the state line, just dealing with that heavier rainfall and some fairly gusty winds and just some hail threats still kind of there, still something to pay attention to. We're paying attention to some of the National Weather Service things and how things are starting to go down, but overall, still likely that areas there into Chicago are still seeing 80 to 90 mile an hour wind gusts, Justin. Still something to pay attention to.
Oh, absolutely, especially if you do know anyone or if you're traveling into that part of the state, certainly seeing some of the worst weather kind of eventually we'll be exiting in very short terms here, especially with the next hour to 2 hours. Locally, though, again, we'll continue with the moderate to even at times heavy rain and occasionally gusty winds. But for now, we're going to pop over on Facebook Live and continue the radar loop, but there will be no audio with this on Facebook Live. Again, if there is any kind of need for a cut-in or any kind of alert, we'll be sure to pop in and let you know.